Okay, let's unmute that. Am I muted? Should we do Twitch streamer bingo to see how many things? You guys, I'm working with a different lighting scheme today and it's feeling a bit aggressive because usually I do the point the thing away. You know? Like where you put it at the wall and then it like soft reflects back at you, but you know, my eyeliner was like just on point today and it's like kind of lost if I do it that way. So I flipped it forward, which is this, and it's just, it's feeling like this is as dim as it goes. That's the cord, sorry. This is as dim as it goes and it can get warmer. Yeah, it can get warmer and it can, oh, hate that. Oh, okay. You know what we're gonna do? We're going back to the original system. We're not changing. You guys, just bear with me. We're gonna go back to this is insanely bright and just look at that. See, but it looks fuzzier. You know, I was looking for a little bit more definition. You know, you have a nice fancy camera and your fancy pink computer and you think, if I get my eyeliner sharp as shit, I want people to be able to see it, you know? But whatever. People don't come for my eyeliner. The people come for the science, the dubious science, the Crocs, the immaculate Australian accents, the dog. They come for whom? Yeah. I see damn wings. Okay, yeah, let's just, you know, let's just appreciate it. Let's just get, okay, it looks so significantly worse. Do you guys see that? That's like scalpel point. Yeah, oh, and stickers. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know, and I'm really hoping to broaden my horizons. Like, first of all, I'm still trying to get a Grip to do I don't think he's in here, to do a D&D stream. Because Dougie Lucius and I already play D&D with him. We're starting a second campaign, which has been occupying approximately 80% of my thoughts is my new character. So I want to tell you guys about it. Or have I already said, I know I said that. I don't know if I told you guys about it, but either way, even if I have, I'm juiced and I like to repeat myself. There's Hoon. I don't want to tilt too far that way because only this part of my bed is aesthetic. The other part that you can't see has laundry on it. Anyways, Hoon and I were just playing hide and go seek, which is really fun. So that's, yeah. Anyways, yeah, what's been occupying my thoughts lately other than science, like my leisure thought time, is just kind of defaulting to thinking about this character. Because my character in our main campaign is the very first time I've ever played D&D, right? And it's fun. I love her. Her name is Rayla, which rhymes with Layla, who's one of my best friends, and she has an owl bear pet named Hoots. And believe it or not, I didn't mean to make the dog, the owl bear, like 2 letters away from my dog's name, and my character's name rhyme with one of my best friend's names. Like, I truly didn't mean to do this. It just subconsciously, like, Freudian slipped its way into my life. Which is fine, but it's also, you know, I'm getting used to like the game mechanics and all of that over the course of the last 2 years, and Sean is like an amazing DM. It's so fun, but I think now I'm ready to play a character that's like less me, because I'm that bitch all day long. Like, honestly, I'm performing all the time. I mean, like, I am. I don't know. Those of you that know me in real life know that this is very much who I actually am, especially when I get spicy, when I get a little ragey. I need to get a rage emoji. I'm working on it. I did like maybe people are gonna hate me for this. I did one of those DALL-E mini like AI generated art of a angry rat face with flamey eyes so that I would have something to work off of to try and design my own. Without accidentally biting one particular person's style, because I'm certainly not good enough to just like freestyle and do my own thing if I'm creating art, but I definitely, you know, can practice using other people's kind of like styles and stuff like that. You know, you kind of like pseudo trace. Anyways, I'm working on it, but I don't think that it's going to be ready in time for the next time I'm enraged, which is arguably low-key all the time, you know? Like, I'm full of, you guys, I went to see the booby I went to see the booby movie last night, Barbie. That's a Freudian slip. She says booby. You know what? That's what's on her brain. Buongiorno, 35 going on 65. We're Italian today? Buongiorno. Isn't it spelled with a G? Buongiorno? I don't know. I'm not Italian. Either way, hello, hi, bienvenue, welcome. I don't know any other ways to say welcome, but welcome in. It's great to see you as usual. It's great to see all of you. It's a bastard French Italian slang, no? Is it? Well, if you spell it that way, it sure is. But I think buongiorno is like daytime hello for Italians. And then there's like, I don't know. You know, it wasn't meant as a critique. I'm just really appreciating the multicultural flavor that we're bringing right now. And we were talking about my D&D characters. Anyways, okay, so first of all, do I have the book with me? Christ. What have I done with it? Oh, Huna's being so peaceful and sweet. I have Volo's Guide to Monsters, the copy that Layla and Sean own. And it's got this race of character that I'm like super juiced to play. If anyone's like a D&D nerd and wants to guess what race that I'm like juiced to play, it's not like a main player's handbook race. It's one of the like newer, you know, alt ones. You know, like you can play like rabbit people, cat people, bird people. You can play rat people. It's not rat people. I'll give you a hint that it's not rat people. And it's not that I don't want to play a rat person, it's that I think that's also a little bit close to my actual self as a character. We're all just playing rat people each day. Anyways, no one wants to guess, so I'll just tell you. Actually, you know what? This says bitch. Isn't that just great? Like, it just, bitch. Oh yeah. Isn't that great? It's this 90s, or not 90s, this like 70s olive green with like the high gloss. Oof, we love it. Anyways, I meant to make Bengal spice and I just tossed a loose tea bag in here that I thought came from the Bengal spice box because it's at the back of the cabinet, and it's not Bengal spice at all. Woman, I'm trying to sort my life out to sit down for the stream. Can't guess, must sort. Oh, a little quiet? How is this possible? Why? I am not a quiet person. Thank you for alerting me to that, Asama Shah. I'm maxed out though. I'm at max. Ooh, is it this? Sometimes this dealy bop. Does that make a difference? Was that louder? Am I louder? I don't know. Anyways, welcome Osama Shah. We saw you in Vulgar Science. Welcome to my channel. I'm still Neuralisha. I'm just short Layla. And we probably get equally spicy around here. It's just less of a conversation between me and another neuroscientist and more of a conversation between me and y'all, which is fun in a different way. You know, I love talking to y'all. It's great. You seem fine to me. Maybe you need to turn up your ears. Don't know. Anyways, I was talking about my tea and I was thinking, it's when my teapot's dirty. So usually I give you guys some porn. I thought that was really funny. That's the only reason I wanted to talk about tea, is to make the pouring porn pun, you know? Because it's, you know, ASMR, which is like ear. Anyways, it's fun. I got some mushroom tea. Hey Epic, what's up? That's hilarious. Dad joke, get out. Where's Skip? Where's Skip with the pickle puns? Like, we need that in this place. Oh, P.S. I just saw in the chat when I came back, first week of work through the counseling service in town is done because Skip got a new job. So congrats, big snaps for Skip. And I love telling dad jokes. Sometimes he laughs. Nice. That's a subtle one. Sneaks in. could go under the radar, could go undetected. You gotta, you know, I like that. Maybe I'm just tired. It's 1 a.m. tomorrow here. Oh boy, where are you at? I mean, you don't have to tell us, but like that's far ahead in time. So thank you for being here, even though it's like off circadian schedule. Are you drinking caffeine? That's on topic. Anyways, yeah, I wanted to make the that pun, that kind of like dirty pun, because you know, we be getting vulgar up in here. We fuck around, we find out. Fafo Friday. I used to call it Friday Fun Time, and I was just like, you know, it's a little raunchier than fun time. Like it is fun, but that's not specific enough, you know? So I wanted to use like fuck around and find out, because that's kind of like, that's what we do in science. Step 1, fuck around. Step 2, find out, right? You know? Yes, I'll need some caffeine down my system. Yo, caffeine. Honestly, okay, so I don't want to dox anybody, but Nanners has served me much coffee in their lives, in her life. We've talked about you being her. Anyways, I love dancing, Kevin, in the little, oh, you have your own little coffee relax thing. You know, and talking about coffee reminds me of Risto, who is having endless internet issues. The poor thing. He lives on a fucking island, and apparently they're like ripping things out of the road, and it's just been nightmare after nightmare over there. So I feel really bad for him. So actually, I don't even know if there's any mods in here. It might just be me. Can I do a shout out? Is it !SO and then you go at? I don't know. You guys, I don't know how to do it, but I want to shout them out. I just, you know, I only have 3 mods, and I think none of them are here. Anyways, that's the plight of the small streamers, to have not as many mods as you need, and also not know how to do what you're doing. Anyways, that's fine. So this tea is not Bengal Spice, which I type / shout out and then his name. No at. Oh, thank you, Epic. Okay, / You have to type shout out the whole fucking thing. A lot. Shout out. Yeah, here we go. Risto Rock. Is it Risto Rock 88 all one word, or is there underscores? Oh, I did it! Oh, look at that. Oh, because I'm a professional streamer, actually. That says, the link says fancy pants shout out. Yeah, exactly. Give him his fancy pants shout out. There's, you know what, I mentioned Dougie, so I could give him a fancy pants shout out, but your girl takes a long time to type. I'm actually not a finger typer, but like I'm not exceptional at typing. There's just lots going on. So, you know, we'll circle around. We'll circle around to that. Anyways, yeah, before we jump into caffeine and stuff, figured we'd do a little catch up and whatnot. And as I was saying before, I've been thinking about my D&D character, and I want to play a Yuan Ti, which is a snake person. So I'm gonna go get the book. I'm gonna just, 1 second, I'm gonna go get the book. Wait. I'm back. The book. Okay, so, you know, if anybody knows anything about D&D, there's like all these like bookie guides. Anyways, this one belongs to Layla and Sean. Sweetie, I'm sorry I got up and you thought something was happening. Hoon's like, You are my favorite. I love Yuan Ti. So I didn't know that it was a playable race, because it didn't used to be in like the earlier versions, right? It used to be just a monster. And I'm so juiced. Because like, okay, here's how I'm thinking that I'm going to play it. Is kind of like, what's that guy? Oh, fuck, you guys are going to hate me. Star Trek. Eyebrows. Spock. So one time I called him Spark. And I can't remember who it was. I think I was dating this like mega nerd. Actually, Shannon, you'll know who I'm talking about. P3. And I called Spock Spark, and he was like, that's probably why we broke up. Zachary Quinto? Oh, baby. You know, bless the gay community for having that, you know, just in as one of their people. Zachary Quinto is so gorgeous. His eyebrows are so good. Oh, he's so attractive. Even as Spock, there's just something, yeah. P3 is next level loser. Anyways, you guys don't know who P3 is. He's a guy I dated 3 serious partners ago. Like, I was in my undergrad. Anyways, he was mega nerd and kind of a pretentious douche about it, so whatever. I want to stay, but I gotta go dinner. That's okay. Thank you so much for being here and, you know, for walking me through the shout out thing and for the subtle dad joke. That's really important contribution here. We appreciate you. See you when we see you. Bon voyage. He was 90% pretentious douche. Yeah, but he was packing, honestly. I mean, maybe that's TMI, but like, whatever. So, and, you know, I was an unawoken version of myself, you know? I was very much like, kind of, not the opposite of who I am now, but like, yeah, I was a little bit of a pretentious douche. Yeah, some introspection there you guys are getting right now. Anyways, so I'm excited to play a Yuan-Ti. They're snake people, and you can play like kind of different levels of them, and I'm gonna play the one that's like the most humanoid because I think that I'm gonna be like, you know, like a infiltrator, like a spy, you know. But I'm wanting to play it like very like emotionless, very like emotion does not compute. Peon, you plebeian with emotions, human emotions, hate that. Anyways, I'm excited to do that. I think I might do like a bit of a like voice, like a character with a little bit of a hiss to it. Anyways, who knows? But I'm just excited to play a new character and like, you know, you just run in scenarios and ideas through your head, and I think I'm gonna play a warlock, which I'm a little bit intimidated by because like my main character is already, she's like a caster, but a druid, so it's like kind of one of the easier like magic based characters to be, because honestly the majority of the magic that I use is like becoming an animal, which doesn't really, you know, I do use spells for my spell slots for that. Like I use Moonbeam quite a bit. Actually no, that's a lie, I haven't used Moonbeam in a long time, but I used to. And I use conjure animals or speak to animals. I speak to plants a lot. That's actually a super handy spell. So yeah, that was that, yeah. Yeah. Oh, nanners, I missed this little thing. Coffee has a limit, and just remember, you'll have issues with water intoxication before you have issues with caffeine. But Neuralicia may correct me. Yeah, I mean, that's broadly true. I wouldn't say before you have any issues, but before you have toxicity, you would get water toxicity. Unless you're eating caffeine pills or something that's like high concentration of caffeine by volume. So like a 5-hour energy, if you necked like 20 of those, you might veer into toxicity without having water toxicity. But if you're just drinking like a drip coffee and probably even an espresso, you wouldn't run into toxicity from the caffeine before you would run into, you would get sick. Like there's kind of like an automated, it's kind of an automatic like thing in a lot of stuff that's toxic to us, that is like kind of a built-in trapdoor, if you will. So, you know, with toxicity with lots of other drugs that are downers, you'll go unconscious before you can finish them, which is why, I mean, I guess I should do my little content warning. When we talk about addiction and mental health stuff related to addiction, even if it's not like a canonical addictive substance like caffeine, there's still going to be some sensitive content, you know? So just putting that out there, protect your minds, protect yourselves. If we're talking about anything activating, mute, leave, do whatever you need to do to protect yourself. I admire people for protecting themselves, and I would much rather have that than a viewer, you know, because I keep my viewers hidden, so I don't even know It could just be me and Nanners and Epic's gone to dinner, and it could be just us and Osama Shah, and I don't know. I don't know. 24 shots of espresso is your limit in a day? That's maniacal. But that gets to something that we're definitely going to talk about, which is tolerance or caffeine adaptation. And we'll kind of talk about tolerance broadly speaking, and then a little bit more specifically when it comes to caffeine, because honestly, caffeine is probably where I'm my weakest in terms of like pharmacology, and probably a little bit is where the literature is not, I'm not going to say it's weak. There's quite a bit of literature out there in the scientific world about this, about caffeine and like associated things. Pardon me, but because it's not a drug of abuse TM, it's not something that is as easy to convince people to fund or to publish. Like, you know, it's much easier to be like, we're in an opioid epidemic, we're studying opioid mechanisms, right? That just tracks, it follows, it has inherent, you don't need, the convincing is a short journey. Whereas if you're, you know, be like 95% of adults consume caffeine, 95. I think that's an American statistic, but that's still a lot. 95. And more than 50% of children, keep in mind children includes teenagers, and that's probably the bulk of what this number is reflecting, but 50% of developing brains, like not that your brain doesn't develop through your lifetime. I talk about that all the time. Hi, sweet girl, what do you need? Do you need your guest spot? Do you need your moment in the spotlight? Who needs a moment in the spotlight? Hoon interlude. Come here. Come here. Yeah, look at that. Look at this girl. Woof, woof, woof. Are you a little bit stressed? The weather is catastrophic as usual. We had severe thunderstorms last night, so we had a rough sleep last night. Someone was very upset. But that's okay. I don't think she's upset right now because of weather. It didn't look bad outside last time I looked, but God knows. We're in the end of days. The climate disaster is here. It's not even nigh, it's here. Woof. You hear that? Orange Hue says woof. What do you have to say? Lick? Sniff? Yeah? Sniff? I got a hair directly on my nose. Oh no, I have them in my mouth. Okay. Okay, we're done with that. Hi, babes. You're okay? You're okay. What do you need? What do you need? What? You want to play? That's preposterous. I'm busy. Go lay down. It's time to relax. Nope. Time to relax, babes. So I'm trying to teach Hoon the buttons, and so far she's figured out play, but the play and the relax button are next to each other, so she's also like, relax, and I'm like, yeah, that's what we're doing right now, but she means play. Anyways, we played hide and go seek and played like tug a little bit, but she's being fussy. I have a Hoon hair somewhere on me. Anyways, is it rainy? Well, there's like cumulostratus clouds abounding around, but I don't think it's actively raining. It just looks kind of murky, you know? She got buttons. She does got buttons. You have buttons. Yeah, she's probably got too many buttons. I think I'm doing it wrong. For a behaviorist, I should be like immaculate at this, but I'm not. I'm not. Anyways, caffeine is in soda, it's in coffee, it's in chocolate, it's in teas. Exactly. Nanners, we could co-host this shit. You gotta get on here. This is something that I'm gonna talk about. It's common for people to not know that chocolate has caffeine. And I'm like, are you joking? So I brought out this like protein thing that I have that's chocolate flavors, chocolate almond, and I wanted to see if it contained any amount of caffeine that they have to label, or if it decaffeinated enough in the processing that they don't have to label it. Because I'm sure that there's, sorry, this is probably, is that ASMR? Oh. Anyways, gluten-free, rich in fiber, a source of calcium. Who, what? I was in the middle of like a voice. I was doing a character. Can I help you? What? What do you need? You're looking at me very expectantly. We went for a big W. Do you want me to close the door? What do you want? I don't know what she wants. She's being really antsy. Give me a second. Okay, what? Show me. Show me what you need. What do you need? Show me. Show me. Is it this? You want a snack? I don't know how people with children deal with it, because like I get annoyed when Hoon comes in as like just like kind of generally like a little bit like hi. I'm like immediately frustrated. She's vehemently drinking water right now, and I just gave her a little like handful of food. Okay, I hope that calms her down. I don't want to have to take her out. I just got back. Anyways, she got buttons. Do dogs have many addictable chemicals? Oxytocin is a neurotransmitter, a neuromodulator that exists in your brain. Hormone? Is oxytocin a hormone? God. Oh God, guys, I'm rusty. Oh, sorry, ad time. I'll wait. I won't answer your question until you're back. Anyways, it doesn't look like there's caffeine in this, so there's probably not enough to cross the thresholds that needs to be reported for a product made, manufactured in Canada. But there's definitely chocolate in here, so I don't know. Oxytocin is a neurotransmitter. Yes. Okay, thank you, Osama. Preach. Yeah, I thought so, but you know, sometimes my brain just gets at me. It is. Of course it is. Duh. Okay, never mind. I should have known that. I don't know why I didn't know that. People are flawed. It is my Achilles heel to not know nomenclature at the turn of a dime, unfortunately. What were we talking about? Good evening, Dougylicious. Welcome. Hello. Hi, darling. I was just talking about how I want to play a Yuan-Ti in our second campaign that's starting next week, and how I'm just kind of like obsessed with thinking about it. Like it's just occupying my like thoughts so much. And I did study for this. Caffeine in foods, right? So yeah, there's caffeine in a lot of things. Mainly chocolate is one that lots of people don't know, but caffeine can be in lots of like plants and, you know, predominantly leaves and berries and stuff like that. But usually, because caffeine itself, you sound a little echoey. What's going on? More echoey than normal? Ugh. You guys! I'm on the wrong mic. Oh, I have two mics on. What's happening? Is that better? That can't be better. I have my Fifine, this is my Fifine, set to the max. They're both maxed out. Oh, I did wonder about that. I'm sorry. It's better. Is it better? Okay, thank God. Anyways, sweetheart, you need to go lay down. You're gonna be okay. Go lay down. Time to relax. Come on. Have a little lay down, baby. Have a little lay down. Have a little lay down, okay? Start to relax. Hopefully she, there was an echo. Okay, well, grabs relax button. Yeah, the relax button is not her most effective button. I'm wondering if she's got a bad tongue. Ugh, you guys. Anyways, okay, so we figured out the echo. Thank you, Dougylicious, and everybody else for, you know, weighing in on that. Hopefully I don't have a dog stomach situation. But if I do, we'll just deal with that as it comes. That's fine. Yeah, so Osama Shah says, do you distinguish between hormones and neurotransmitters? Of course, because they operate completely differently in the body. Neurotransmitters are, by their very name, neural, like they're related to neurons, right? So in your central nervous system, exclusively almost. There are, you know, you have a enteric nervous system and your gut and stuff like that. But for the purposes of what we're talking about, neurotransmitters, fast neurotransmitters. I'll be lurking. Love you, thank you. Love you so much. Bad tummy button. No, I don't want that button. She is laying down now, so I think if I stop paying attention to her, she just wants attention most of the time. And hormones operate through a completely different mechanism that's much slower, but they are related, right? So your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, your HPA axis, is a very famous kind of interaction between your nervous system and your hormone system, or your endocrine system, we call that bad boy. I almost didn't get that word out. I had processing happen there. My computer fan went on in my head. Yeah, get a grip. I'm here. I'm addicted to caffeine. We're here. We're addicted to caffeine. So I think that's something that I want to get into today is that a thing? Can you be addicted to caffeine? Depends what you call addiction. And, you know, we can get into a little bit of the nomenclature and, you know, if addiction is this, then that, and that sort of thing. But like 24 shots of espresso, LOL. So dependent and addicted are two different things, right? And we talked about that in the primer stream that I did last week. That I was explaining the difference between dependence and tolerance and what constitutes addiction and what are the kind of like main themes that distinguish casual use and even dependent use from actual full-blown addictive style behavioral usage or behaviors if it's not an actual substance, like if it's gambling addiction or sex addiction. What distinguishes that? And we talked a little bit about it being a disease of aberrant wanting or aberrant craving and desire. So malfunctioning in your reward system such that you have cravings and desires for things that you maybe not shouldn't, but maybe it's turned up. That whole system is on blast, you know? Anyways, what's happening? Or who? Grep is, oh, that's the caffeine molecule, LOL. I think that's caffeine. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not a chemist. All right. Nanner slaps on caffeine patch. Totally a casual user. Not a programming nerd. Wait, I don't get it. Is that a joke for programmers? Anyways, I'll just let you guys do that. Yeah, so we were talking about Z&Z. We were talking about little updates. How's everybody's life going? How's everybody's week? I went and saw the Barbie movie. Pops a 200 milligram caffeine pill. We're in this together. So I used to take caffeine pills and they would make me barf. Like I got acute toxicity over it. Anyways, grep is for scripties, LOL. I thought it was just meant to be a pun, like get a grip, but grep means something. That's funny. Anyways, excellent choices, sir. Right in the body, bypass the stomach. Yeah, so to use, I mean, this is all related to just general addiction stuff, so let's talk about it while we're talking about it. If you wear a patch, nicotine patch, any of those sorts of things, there's fentanyl patches, all of that, and you put it on your skin, that's transdermal. We talked famously about being able to absorb caffeine through your hands because it is both water and lipid soluble. So you can absorb it that way. It's certainly slower and less like pow than drinking it. I presume if you could snort it that would be really effective. But it probably tastes really bad because pure caffeine is like extraordinarily bitter. Because it's a xanthine. Girl, I don't know. Anyway, so while I did study for this stream, I didn't study maybe as much as I should. Honestly, I had more questions than answers. I was like, I'll just look up the mechanism. Turns out there's like 4 different ways that the caffeine molecule like acts in the brain, and they're all kind of relevant for different reasons. And I'm like, okay, we could just talk about one, but I don't want to be misleading. I want to give people the whole story. That's the whole point of doing psychoms and, you know, debunking things and not making it like oversimplified and talking about like important things, but I also don't want to get too technical. So, you know, it was a bit of a struggle, but I love you guys. Did you just say boof bros? No. Oh, I've done caffeine through the hands. Yeah, that's what I was referring to, is caffeine through the hands. Did you dress up in pink? Okay, well, you know your girl loves pink, but no, I didn't. I just wore my clothes. I kind of forgot that that was a thing until I had already left the house, and it was kind of like I wanted to go meet my friend. And while we're talking about outfits, like obviously this shirt's a bit hoary, right? It's cute, a little bit hoary, whatever. So I was fine with that because I think it's cute. And mainly like the hoary part of it is blocked by my microphone, so that's fine. But I got out of the shower because like I was all labby and gross and sweaty earlier, so I wanted to be fresh. I got out of the shower earlier, my hair was wet, and I was like, shit, it might not be dry in time for stream if I don't kind of like fluff it out. So I put it in braids, and then I was like, no, because I have this kind of like woven like slutty lederhosen, whatever, like yodel look that with the braids, it just looked preposterous. So we didn't go braids, but there's a story that no one asked for that now you know. I'm behind on chat. What else is new? Grep is a computer command. Okay. Did you do the Barbenheimer? No, I saw Oppenheimer last week. Loved it. Loved Barbie for very different reasons. I think Barbie should be mandatory viewing for all humanity, particularly men. And also Nanette, like the special by Hannah Gadsby, the comedian. I think both of those things would just, if everybody watched those, would probably like just a little bit appreciate the experience of women a bit more. But anyways, that's not the topic of the stream. 75 milligrams per shot of espresso, roughly. Remember when you order yourself 4 shots. Well, and it depends on the type of the bean and blah, 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 how roasted it is. There's nuance there, but as Nanners was saying earlier, it's pretty safe. Caffeine is overall quite safe, especially if you're drinking it from coffee beans, right? Because in order to extract the molecule out of there, you have to kind of like cook it. You know, it's like very difficult to like make it like bioavailable otherwise, from what I understand. That might not be real science, but I don't know. I was reading some real sources, like actual scientific papers, and I was always also reading some stuff that I'm like, maybe it was Wikipedia. Yeah, super duper bitter. I've seen someone snort sugar. Yeah, I've seen someone snort salt, sugar. Oh, lots of other things. I think coffee enemas is available in some health retreats. That's bananas. A coffee enema? Why? I guess because you would get the effects quite quickly because the absorption is fast. The same reason that you buff anything. Hoop it. But Lord, doing a Supreme Court justice proud, honestly. Sign me up. Snort sugar. Technically, it was vanilla bean powder, which is mostly sugar. Forgot that was a thing. I used to work for Starbucks. I've seen some questionable things. Good time zone, friends. Hi, Ezra Pizza. Welcome in. Nice to see you. Dressing for women just always sounds more complicated. Wearing clothing for women? I mean, yeah, sure, historically, I guess, but for the most part, we're just shirt and pants in it like you guys are. I guess bras. I haven't worn a bra in like 50 years, though, let's be honest. Yeah, it is. Anyways, that tracks with the most questionable prices, honestly. Barbie could do with a 1.5 or 1.75 times playback button. What does that mean? You mean like a rewind? Or making it go faster? You want to watch it at a faster speed? Disagree. Strong disagree. Anyways, the real life portion of the film does drag. What do you mean? The whole thing is an exercise in camp and low-key drag, if we're being honest. It's very queer. That film is so queer and so feminist and so amazing, and I do think it's a bit diluted, palatable, whitewashed feminism, but I'm okay with that because, let's be real, it's better than nothing, but there's also like a whole narrative in the film about that. But my favorite part has nothing to do with either of those things. Everyone... there's been all these memes and these jokes, especially in the sapphic community, the women-loving women community, that if there's no Barbie scissoring, then it's not staying true to, like, the canon, because, like, what girls didn't make their Barbie scissor? But Kate McKinnon, who is a lesbian, plays a Barbie, and they're in her place, and she talks about linking two things. I don't want to spoil anybody, but she talks about it and does this. She's like, you gotta link them, and does that to do it. And I was just like, nice. That was for all the girls out there that scissored their Barbies or made their Barbies scissored. They didn't scissor their Barbies. That would be difficult. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, that and high-strung customers, you know, the Karen type. Ooh, I couldn't imagine. Especially people like, can't start my day with a cup of joe. Gotta, you know, don't talk to me before I've had my coffee. Like, chill out. Anyways, drag like ka drag, or drag as in slow drag. Yeah. First of all, love ka. 50 years? Did you just out your age? Yeah. How do you guys think that I stay this young looking because I'm actually this young? No, I eat the hearts of virgin incel men. It's good for the skin. Anyways, we already know she's from the Paleolithic. Read. But that's true. We just need some carbon dating. Honestly, I'm barely a carbon being. Honestly, you know? Thank you for not spoiling. Scissor me timbers. I like that. Scissor me timbers. Don't forget bathing in incel blood. Yeah, any blood will do in a pinch, but you know, the most effective is certainly the blood of the righteous misogynist, you know? She stays that young from injected orphan tears. Listen, okay. I'm not evil, like on paper, okay? She's a nice person. Okay? You know what, guys? I'm gonna have a little snack. I didn't really eat. I ate at like 3 and I kind of forgot. You need the virgin blood of the young. You see, yeah. Okay. Oh, this is good. Shit, I haven't had this flavor before. Plant-powered fuel. Dark chocolate almond simple protein. It's got 2 grams of sugar and 12 grams of protein. Anyways, they're from Costco. The only reason that I bought these is because there was a flavor on the multi-pack that was like lemon. And I was like, oh my God, can you imagine a lemon granola bar? It'd be amazing. And I thought that it was going to be like less crunchy, like grown-up joyless Rice Krispie square, and I thought it was going to be more of like a Cliff Bar adjacent thing, maybe with a little like drizzle of something, like, you know, lemony. And then it was okay. This one's far superior. Oh, there's little chocolate chips. That's cute. Anyways, I really bought it for those ones, so I haven't tried the rest of them because I was kind of pissed. Oh, this one's good. You guys are getting ASMR, I'm sorry. I think chewing noises are gross, so I'm just gonna not. This is delicious. There's a Hungarian princess that actually did this, or is this folklore? Anyways, we gotta get through the stuff and start talking about the science. Before I run out of energy. Eating something chocolate when you're like being presented to the world, a bad idea. I'm really chocolate in my teeth. Whatever. She's flawed. She's a human being. She's not a Barbie. Oh, okay, you guys. The reason I started talking about Barbie is because, Lord Jesus, I'm at the Barbie movie, and like, I don't think that this is a spoiler, but like, you know, it kind of wakes you up and also gives you hope. It's pretty like positive message, lighthearted, like anti-Oppenheimer kind of thing. Like you're not walking out like, you're walking out like, tee-hee, that was fun. So that was great. And I was like, oh, hope for humanity in women. That's nice to feel on occasion. And I got about a block and a half away from the theater. Keep in mind, it's 10 o'clock at night, so it's dark. And it's kind of rainy and drizzly, so there's not lots of people out. And I'm not even on a main street anymore. I'm just walking home. And this man rips up behind me on a motorized Bixie. A Bixie is like our city bikes that you can rent. Rips up behind me on a motorized Bixie to hit on me. It's like, I think you're really cute. Can I get your phone number? And I'm like, any woman that's ever experienced anything like this knows that, like, sure, it would be nice if we could just be like, I'm not interested, no thank you. It would just be nice to not be solicited like that in everyday life, to just be able to walk like 5 feet without getting ogled. But that's not reality. So anyway, so that happened. And I did the classic, sorry, I'm gay, because that's actually frequently safer than outright denying them. Like, you don't get the potential aggression. Because believe it or not, sometimes if you decline random people that hit on you, they get pissed. And it's not safe, and I was alone on the street. So I said the classic, you know, I'm gay. And he's like, oh, really? You don't look gay. As if it were a compliment. And I'm like, I was just brought right back down to earth after the Barbie movie. A block and a half away. I'm not even exaggerating. A block and a half. And let me tell you what I was wearing. I was wearing those giant parachute pants in like a sweater. I wasn't even in yodelay hee-ho mode. You know? Just life's difficult sometimes. Anyways, I'd really like a little bit of appreciation for yodelay hee-ho. So if anyone's ready to tell me that that was hilarious, I'm ready to receive that. Okay, Dika, hello. Countess Elizabeth Bathory d'Exced. Bathory and 4 of her servants were accused of torturing and killing hundreds of girls and women between 1590 and 1610s. Her servants were put on trial and convicted, whereas Bathory was confined to her home. Amazing. Okay, this reminds me of this book that I read. Nanners, remind me. Oh, I want to find out what it is. It's like a Hungarian. Oh, it's really good. It's like a horror novel. It's awesome. I really liked it. Anyways, yeah. More folklore, street facts. Walking in the street sounds stressful. It is. Oof, it astounds me that people like that still exist. And honestly, like, he was probably harmless, but the fact, I just want peace for myself. And on a motorized Bixie, don't come up behind people in the dark. Something with a motor at all. I didn't even have my keys between my fingers. I thought that we had hope. Foolish. Anyways, my laugh was the appreciation. But gay people usually have short hair. I know. It's like she's not radiating like massive Bookdeich. What just happened to my brain? Bookdeich? Do you guys... Bookdeich is what... Bookdeich? No. She doesn't bark. I'd like to put Bookdeich in the canon of, maybe that's a nerdy Bookdeich. Anyways, gay people usually have short hair. Yeah, it's like if you don't look like a if you don't look like Leah Delaria, they're like, you can't be a lesbian. I'm not a lesbian, I'm bisexual, but still. Anyways, I'm breaking the trend. Hola. Great brand named after her too. Konnichiwa. Who got... Oh, a brand? Okay. Anyways, okay, as long as you're stereotyping a certain Central European country, and it would be nice to just say no thank you and have the conversation end. Yeah, and that's the thing. Most times you probably could, but because it's unpredictable which ones are going to be aggro and unsafe, like literally... or follow you home. Like, the fact that that's a possibility is just, there's just an undertone of superiority and like implied power dynamics there that you feel, pardon me, comfortable approaching someone on the street in such a forward manner, even to say something complimentary. I just, yeah, no, it's a no for me. Bless you, Bush Duke, Donka. Bandit, not brand, if you like metal. Band, not, I do like metal. What's happening? What band is named after her? I don't know. I do like metal. I don't like screechy metal. I don't like really progressive metal. Bathory. Okay, so I'm a metalcore fan primarily. Anyways, the amount of times in bars I've told Who's to go away from Neuralicia and Carly is hilarious and ridiculous. Honestly, and that's 3 of us fucking together. Anyways, Layla and I can go off about that, but like, yeah, it's just a thing. So yeah, that was my Barbie story. The weather is consistently like severe weather alert, like at least once a week. Haven't seen the sunshine in 3 damn days. That's a great song. And I will not have any shame about it. Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow fucking knocked that bitch out of the park, and I will listen to that shit on repeat. So good. Okay, this is black metal. Yeah, not really my style, but I'm not categorically against it. I support it by proxy. Anyways, it was my dad's birthday this week. That was nice. Isn't it funny how dads are like, I don't want to do anything for my birthday. I don't need anything for my birthday. And then like, this is a gender thing too, because lots of girls are like heartbroken if things don't happen for their birthday, if people don't want to celebrate them for their birthday, because it's like the one day that people are supposed to want to celebrate you. And because we're so systemically, this is a rant, get ready. If we had a rant emote, we would be engaging it right now. We can use spicy. Anyways, we're so used to being part of the backdrop and uncelebrated and objectified and blah blah blah, that like a birthday is like our way to cling the fuck on to like one ass moment where we can be center stage and it can be all about us, especially like in a relationship. I don't know, I'm not speaking for every woman, but it's funny how there's this stereotype of like dads want socks and women want champagne and party and stuff like that, because like it's just reflective of how saturated the upper middle class white male is with satisfaction, that they literally don't have anything that they want or need. I'm not saying that like I'm riddled with privilege. I have like 6 hairbrushes. Like, this is unnecessary. But on balance, anyways, fuckle up, sheeple. Fuckle up. I love fuckle up. Anyways, spicy, spicy, spicy. Oh my god, 10 out of 10 praise. Yeah, I completely agree. I gave my dad a hug and a Kindle for his birthday. My dad bought me a Kindle last week because my other Kindle that he gave me that used to be his stopped working. But I talk to my dad every day. Like, that's our gift to each other. Not that my dad doesn't very much financially support me, quite a bit, because I make a pittance because people don't appreciate science. But the best part of my relationship with my father is the fact that I have an amazing relationship with my father. I talk to him every single day, you guys. Every day. Every day. My dad gets a FaceTime because he's an expat in Thailand. Is he really? That's far. I didn't know. Huh. Anyways, that's fine. Dads, it's all right. And maybe the dads do want to be, they want a Mojo Dojo Casa house, but let's just leave that. Let's put a pin in it. I'm always angry about gender politics. Anyways, sheesh, sounds like my uncle. Oh, well, I'm sure he appreciates it. Yeah, me and my dad are tight. And I'm an only child, so it's just me. Just me, just your girl. Hi. That's it. I was just like, the weather is constantly brutal. It was my dad's birthday. Okay, So, you guys, I have this little follower goal that says 200 followers and I'll do an AMA. And I'm like reflecting upon that and I'm like, do the people even want an AMA? You guys kind of ask me anything anyways. Like, I'm not really a closed book. But I was thinking that it could be less about science and more like without doxing myself about my personal life. Or like not my personal life, but you know, like would you rather live in a bag of milk or have denim skin? You know, reflect on some thought exercises, that sort of stuff. I think, you know, we could do the thought exercise. Shannon, you know this one, Carly and I. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it. The point is, I don't know. Is the AMA, is that even like an enticing thing? Or should we name another rat? Because they do have another rat that's unnamed. Just before we get back into the science, we talked a bit about caffeine. But I have this guy that I've had for a while. My sissy gave him to me. It's a Webkins. See? Webkins. This was like Beanie Babies 2.0. Anyways, look at this little tile. It's supposed to be pink. I wish it were pink, but that's fine. Maybe we could dye it pink. Dip. Anyways, they need a name. Might be. So that could also be a thing. We could make it like a thing. I don't know. What do the people want? I want to give the people what they want as an incentive or like a reward. Because I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, he gets mad when I call him an immigrant. I mean, is he an immigrant if he's from here? Well, he's an immigrant there, I suppose. That's actually true. How about a Lord of the Rings marathon with chat? Isn't that against copyright? Won't I get a copyright strike for that? I don't think I can do that. That's a good idea. I think I might fall asleep though. Yeah, Twitch terms of service ban speedrun, let's go. What? What does that mean? Oh, you're saying LOL, yeah, this would get me banned and it would be a speedrun, like I would get banned immediately. Yeah, right, that old pickle. Pickle? Where's Skip at? Skipple pick? What's happening to me today? I think I used all my brain power. You guys, I had lots of like very serious science conversations this week that like were mind warping. But it was good. It was good. Anyways, that's the thing. And if you guys want to suggest stuff in the Discord, I would be appreciative if like anyone has ideas. I want to do what you guys want. I want to do what I want. And I won't do anything that I don't want to do. But I've been trying to convince Layla. This is a vulgar science related thing. I've been trying to convince her that we should do like a Hot Ones type thing. I think that would be hilarious. So like if you guys are team spicy literally, spicy figuratively, vulgar science, like come on. That's just, the hilarity writes itself, people. Anyways, I've got my notes over here. And I could have my notes over here. Oh. But I know that Google Chrome makes the world turn to hell in a hat. Look at how bright that is. I hate that. Anyways, last time I had Chrome open, why don't I have it on dark mode? Ugh. Ugh. Settings. Customize. You guys, oh. Okay, I like that. That's a theme color, but if I go to a page, I don't want to pick black as a theme color. I want it to be pink. This is perplexing. I don't care for it. See, it's white again. Ugh. This is such a first world problem, but I don't want it. Anyways, I don't want to make things laggy, but I also have my notes there, but I have my notes here, but I think like I would pick laggy over like the side of my head. Is the side of my head like okay? My hair does look quite shiny today. I put some serum in it. That's nice. Anyways, whatever. You know what? No, we're not doing it. I don't like the lighting. I don't like the lighting. Come join the informed chaos. Yeah. Descend to the sewer. And if you have ideas for vulgar science, that's also, you know, in there too. But it's kind of a 2-for-1. My hubby does hot wing challenges and films it for YouTubes. Does he really? I didn't know that. Oh, I want to watch that. Do what you want with the stream. Streaming will be enjoyable if you're doing something for the sole reason that someone else requested it. Well, as I said, I will not do anything I don't want to do. But I'm also like, you know, lots of people talk about things to do with gaming, like they'll do a thing with a blindfold on it, you know, that sort of stuff for like fun variety. And I'm interested in doing stuff that's not always science because your girl doesn't have a lot of time to do this research, which is why I can only do this once a week and vulgar science once a week, because it takes time. Probably takes me like, for a really solid research amount, this probably is like at least 4 hours worth of like actual sit down, listening to things, reading things, watching things, making notes. And I also just like listen to podcasts and have stuff in the background to study for it for probably my walk to and from work every week on the days between. So that's what, another like 4 hours? It's like 8 hours worth of prep. Anyways, I would like to do not necessarily intellectual stuff and pepper it in. Experiment. See, you know, I might find something that's like my groove, but I would like suggestions that I can take credit for as my own idea. Just kidding. You know, stuff I might not have thought of. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like I'm going to bow to the masses. Do I radiate that? Do I radiate the energy that I'm going to be the puppet of the people? No, sir. Anyways, could play games with chat too, like words with chat. Is that a thing? I love, is that Scrabble? Is it Scrabble? Is that like Scrabble? I love Scrabble. Oh, that would be great. That's a great idea. See? Look what happens when this is great. I really like you guys. I really appreciate you guys. Anyways, we're gonna go, I'm just gonna move a couple things. I'm gonna have another little bite of the granola bar because I'm hungry. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so much better than the other ones. I'm not even a chocolate person. John Japanda on the YouTube and stuff. I'll send it to you later. Cool. That's amazing. Okay. I'm going to move my notes here so that I'm like less out of frame. Wask. Ooh, so it's like boggle. Ooh, I like that. Oh, I played that with an Aussie streamer yesterday. So it's a Jackbox game. You want to know what I really liked? Is playing the Diffuse the Bomb game with Get a Grip and Layla Show. Like with Layla from Vulgar Science and our famous Get a Grip OG mod, DM extraordinaire. She's finishing chewing. Okay, we're done that. We're gonna take a sip of tea. Everyone just take a deep breath. Let's do a deep breath. Let's do a community deep breath a little. That's nice, isn't it? I think that's lovely. We'll have a little sip of tea, a little hydrate. This one is lemon. Oh, I usually only drink this when I'm sick. Words on Stream, that's the one. Yep, fun and interactive. How spicy is a chocolate bar? It's not. It's not. It's just delicious, and I wanted to kind of like rinse it out of my mouth. It's still kind of like around. Anyways, okay, so we're going to talk about caffeine. We're going to talk about the way that it acts in the brain, talking about receptors. And you guys, I am really hoping that I can make accessible some pretty higher level neuroscience stuff, like some second year course knowledge is something that I want to convey to you here. And that's not to make it sound like, oh, so smart, but to say that like these are concepts that I think could be out there way more than they are. And I hope that I'm able to make it digestible for y'all so that we can talk about the neurochemistry in a way that I'm not just like kind of reading jargon to y'all, because you guys know how I feel about jargon, blah. So I guess in order to talk about the molecule itself, I don't really want to get into like the molecular structure because I'm sure it means something and it is very important, but other than the fact that the caffeine molecule looks very much like the molecule that activates the same receptor that it acts on, that's the only thing you really need to know. And that receptor is called an adenosine receptor. And I'll put it in chat. Adenosine. Which is, yeah, so the adenosine molecule that binds to adenosine receptors and the caffeine molecule look pretty similar as far as molecules go. And that's the extent of my molecular knowledge. And I think the extent of the molecular knowledge that you even need to be able to kind of like grasp, wasps, crisps, grasp. I don't know what's wrong with my speech today. What did I say? Book Dutch? I don't know. Anyways. Before we can get into how this molecule is making its, effects in the brain and on behavior and in your mind and, making you go like, oh, don't talk to me before I've had my coffee or what, just makes it so that it gives you alertness and what makes you jittery and all that kind of stuff. I think we need to talk about just some of the like nomenclature that we use in the game, because caffeine is eugeroic, which is a word that I just learned, is promoting wakefulness. So anything that promotes wakefulness is eugeroic. Eugeroic? I don't know. I learned that word from this. It's nifty. But that's the end of that. So I already said it's water and fat soluble. My notes are chaotic. You guys, I did study for this, but like I said, it got messy. This is not my area of expertise. But adenosine in the body, ordinarily, this is not caffeine, is actually something that promotes sleepiness. So you have the lowest adenosine levels in your body when you first wake up, when you have the most energy. And as you expend energy throughout the day, adenosine accumulates and is part of your circadian rhythm in concert with melatonin. We're not really talking about that, but it's good to remember that the caffeine acts on that same receptor, right? So people are like, oh, it goes in that receptor, it must activate it, right? And the fact is, plugging into a receptor doesn't necessarily make the receptor do its action. It doesn't necessarily activate it. There are different, we call them ligands, different keys that can go in separate locks that can do things other than open that lock or turn that on, right? So I want to make sure that it's clear when we're talking about these different things that can bind to these receptors that they don't necessarily do the same thing even if they're at the same receptor. So if we're talking about the adenosine receptor, activating adenosine is anti-wakeful. It, I don't know, maybe we should sneak some ghost pepper in it. Into my chocolate thing? No, please don't. Doesn't caffeine block the adenosine receptor? That is correct. So block is a fair lay understanding, good word to stand in for what we would call in neuroscience, it antagonizes it, or more specifically or more accurately, caffeine is an antagonist, an adenosine receptor antagonist. And that's in contrast to an agonist. So the way that I originally remembered this when I was learning it in undergrad is to think about antagonist as like in the storybook way. Like we know that protagonist is the main character, usually kind of the one that's driving the story forward, and the antagonist is the one that's blocking it through whatever mechanism in the plot. Voldemort's the antagonist in Harry Potter, Harry Potter's the protagonist. So when you think about antagonizing something, you can think about blocking it, and that's exactly the nomenclature that Nanners just used. So agonist is also a great metal band. I've never heard of this. Are these all black metal? Because like, that's probably why. I also just don't hear of things. In any event, oh my gosh, where are my notes? Stop this. So, okay, there's agonists, which is just the opposite of an antagonist. The agonists activate and antagonists block. And that, melodic death metal. Okay, I like melodic. What are we talking about? Like how, give me a more popular comparator band. Isn't agonist the sesquipedalian term for block? I don't know what sesquipedalian Pedalian is. But it's the word that we use in science specifically to talk about receptors, because saying block is sometimes not specific enough for when we're talking about the more like fine-grained differences. And this is a good segue into the next kind of section here, because there's also agonists that will kind of block the receptor from its normal ligand, its normal key. Like it'll still go in there and make it so another key can't go in that lock. So it's blocking it, but it's not stopping the effects downstream of that receptor being activated. It's activating it, but still blocking it. So you see, we need these terms that distinguish between blocking it and not activating it, and blocking and activating it, right? So that's why inflames, okay, children, yeah, no, okay. Definitely not my type of metal, but thank you for clarifying. And you can just continue to tell me about metal bands as much as you want, because there's bound to be one that I'll actually like. Fancy to show off your intellectual superiority for a term. So if you were, you probably weren't actually, because I think you're a newer viewer, but if you know anything about me, ask the peeps, I go on pretty big rants about unnecessary use of jargon, which is why I'm explaining the reason that we use that specific word instead of just saying block, because there is sometimes an important difference between the two when you're doing things from the neuroscientific end of things. So for the purposes of understanding the kind of surface level mechanisms of caffeine in the brain, block is fine, but that would be a pretty short stream if we just said caffeine blocks adenosine receptors and that makes you get awake, which is true, but I'm Neuralisha, not Wikipedia Lisha. You know, I'm here to be the bridge between the knowledge that is cisquantified or whatever that fucking word is, and the simple understanding of it. And I don't mean that with much ego, but when you get enough training, you are a specialist in an area, and it is up to me to use that knowledge to translate it to people that don't have the luxury or the desire to go through all that specialized training. I'm extracting the very essential stuff and providing it, is what I like to think that I'm doing. And I enjoy doing it, so I'm going to keep doing it. That being said, let's circle back to antagonists and agonists and a couple of like different things before we just talk about how caffeine works that way. Talk about a little bit of the other characteristics of antagonists and agonists. What's that? A little juice. I don't know what that is. It's cute though. Anyways, it's like a little girl spinning. It's nice. Okay, so you can picture these receptors in some ways like a parking spot in a... Oh, Freedom! I didn't realize that was you because it was purple. Sorry, I should say welcome. How's it going? I thought that was Osama Shah replying to something I said, which is why I don't get it. Anyways, welcome. Hey, nice to see ya. We're talking about caffeine today. We're talking about how it acts in the brain, specifically the neuroscience of it. And, oh, it's your hello emote. Well, hello, hi, welcome in. So yeah, we're talking about caffeine today. And right now I'm distinguishing between two types of keys that can go in locks. Another metaphor for it that's easier for understanding the next concept that I'm going to describe, which is competitiveness of these ligands. Remember, ligand is a key, receptor is a lock. The keys that go in the locks, those are ligands. So when we talk about these molecules that can go into these receptors, and we talk about them being able to agonize or activate or antagonize, block and not activate, these receptors, there's also a degree of competitiveness. And this is basically saying, how effective is it at getting at that receptor as opposed to another molecule that can also bind there? Because the brain is not a clean and tidy place. There's all kinds of fucking receptors on all kinds of cells and all kinds of shit floating around in the synapse, right? That's one of the beautiful things about the brain, is there's all these amazing neuromodulators. We like to draw a single neuron and be like, this is a synapse, there they go, they connect, which is true, but that's a very vastly oversimplified version of things, right? So if we kind of like back up and try and appreciate that, you can think about, okay, there's a bunch of different things floating around there. There's a whole bunch of cars circling in the parking lot looking to go in that parking spot. There's motorcycles, there's little cars, there's vans, there's trucks. And they can all go in there. And if they're competing for who gets to go in there, there's some that are going to be more effective. Probably motorcycle is going to be less effective than truck, right? So in terms of being a competitive or non-competitive agonist, a competitive one is more likely to bind to that receptor. So if you had a competitive agonist, it would be a molecule that wants to bind to the receptor, a ligand that wants to bind to the receptor, that is super magnetic to that receptor. It's, wants to go there more than the other things do. And it's competitive for that one, such that it will knock another one out. So if you have one that's higher competitiveness than another one, the competitive one will come and knock out the existing agonist, which is how naloxone works. But we'll talk about that when we get to opioids. Right now we're talking about caffeine, and this is just a bit of background. If it were an antagonist, it would do the same thing. It would bop it out, and it would stop the activation of that cell, which is a really cool thing. That's actually naloxone is the antagonist. I just meant that. My brain has more casual agonists. Yeah, honestly. My brain has a constant loop of numa some days. What's numa? My brain certainly isn't a clean and tidy place. Genuinely, yes. Yeah, same. My brain is a disaster sometimes, but it's also a wonderful, amazing thing that's allowing us to do this, which is nice. And we have dogs. She's panting. Oh, I hope she's okay. I think it's just because we have nasty weather coming. Anyways, so that's competitive and non-competitive. Lastly, there's something called affinity. And affinity is how strongly, I used magnetism as kind of an example just before, but that's how easy it is to knock out of the receptor, kind of, for all intents and purposes. So if something has high affinity, binding affinity, means it's like really fucking good at getting in there. There's also things such as partial agonists and partial antagonists, but I think for the purposes of discussing caffeine that this is probably enough. So the receptor that caffeine acts on is the adenosine receptor. In the body, within internal, endogenous is the word that we use, the naturally body-made version of something that binds to the adenosine receptor is just adenosine. And there's also exogenous, from outside the body, things that we can use that will deliver compounds or molecules that will activate that, one of which is caffeine that you can get in coffee, tea, chocolate, sodas, those sorts of things. Anyways, I don't know numa. Should I know numa? Maybe I do and I just don't know that I know. My internet literacy is pretty low, which is fine. I have high literacy in other ways, right? You guys, I'm so sorry you're getting so much crunch ASMR. But I'm also not sorry because it's really tasty. And I've officially eaten a third of a granola bar since 3 p.m. So she's a hero. Okay, so caffeine acts on the adenosine receptor as an antagonist, right? So when you talk about caffeine going to your brain and like switching it on, it's not doing anything of the sort. It's actually blocking things being on. Blah. A bit more old school, 2004. Who are you calling old school, baby? 2004? Sweetie, that's recent history. That's this millennia. I'm just joking. I guess it's old school by internet terms. Internet like time span. It's kind of more old school. I don't know. Anyways, your girl was around in 2004, so I don't want to hear things called old. She's only 50. Just kidding. Yeah, whatever Numa Numa is, that's nice. Okay, so caffeine goes in and it goes to the adenosine receptors. Adenosine is usually the thing that's going to make you sleepy. It's going to be what accumulates in your brain and is activated when you're kind of at the end of the day and you've expended the most energy. Its accumulation is what's triggering your body to turn on sleep mechanisms using things like melatonin that a lot of people are more familiar with. And it's part of the circadian cycle. It's also related to your stress cycle. So when we first wake up in the morning, cortisol levels spike. That's part of how we wake up. It's part of like the byproduct of waking up. It's kind of like a linked thing there. And that will actually, I hate to use this term because it's not super canonically true, but conceptually it's true. It will clear adenosine out of your, brain areas and make it, that's why you feel freshest if you've had a decent sleep. And why sleep is so important to cognition and alertness and focus and stuff like that is because if you don't sleep enough, your brain isn't clearing the adenosine. You're getting residual activation of drowsiness, essentially, right? So that's what caffeine is blocking. So caffeine isn't really producing energy. Caffeine is stopping the onset of lack of energy. It's a fine difference. And in the neuroscience game, we would call that, what would we call that? I was just going to say it's disinhibition, but it's not. I don't know what we would call that. There's probably a fucking word for it, though. Anyways, Alicia, your number hasn't changed in a bit, correct? I'll send you Numa Numa. My cell phone number? It hasn't changed since I moved to Quebec. You can send it to me on, like, whatever platform, and I'll look at it. Get Rayla in there. LOL. Dougie Licious just went live. Maybe we'll raid out to him at the end of the night. I don't think I'm going to do another 4-hour stream. I don't think I have it in me. I've had a very, I guess, intellectually taxing week. It's just been lots of like, meh. Anyways, so okay. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors. Cool. There's a couple different types of adenosine receptors and they do different things, but I think that that's probably a little deeper than we want to get. And also, I don't really know them off the top of my head and I don't want to just read to you. The opposite of wakefulness. Right, so, but remember, it's not promoting and producing energy. It's borrowing from later fatigue, essentially. Like, it's kind of like postponing what's gonna happen no matter what, which is why caffeine can't prevent you from needing sleep eventually. The only things that can truly get rid of the adenosine that's accumulating in the synapse, because remember, the caffeine isn't gonna stay in that receptor forever. It's gotta go and like get processed and stuff like that. So it's gonna clear from the synapse and then there's gonna be all those adenosine receptors being like, okay. And then the adenosine is going to come in and be like, you're tired, which is why frequently you hear anecdotally that once your caffeine wears off, you get like the it's kind of the equivalent of a sugar high and a sugar low. People get a caffeine high and a caffeine low, right? Anyways, caffeine crash. Exactly. Wait, so caffeine is just procrastination juice? Honestly, yes. That's a great way to put it. I really like both of these kind of things. You guys are catching on. See? Everyone acts like neuroscience is only for neuroscientists. Blah, we're so smart. But like, honestly, is really, if someone just takes the fucking time to disentangle the jargon, it's there. people, I don't know. Scientists bother me when they get in their little high ivory towers and are like, the peons wouldn't understand. I don't know. So thematically accurate for me. I hate it. Honestly, sugar crash makes me feel sleepy as well. Well, and honestly, we can actually do an episode on sugar addiction and whether or not that's an actual thing as well. I would implore you, because I'm going to probably do whatever you guys want to do next. I plan to do a poll at the end of the thing. And last time I didn't do a poll because I forgot how to do a poll and Get a Grip was gone, and then I just kind of like forgot, and you guys were all really juiced on caffeine, so I just decided to do caffeine. Anyways, while I am interested in talking about addiction to sugar and stuff like that, and whether that's a real thing and how sugar relates to your reward system, etc., I am also, it's one of those like murkier literatures that will take a little bit more mental effort for me to get a good kind of bird's eye view of what things are, because it's also a contentious body of literature. There's a big group of people that are like, you can't be addicted to sugar. And then there's a group of people that are like, yeah, you sure fucking can, buddy. And I honestly don't know that either of those camps is entirely true, and I don't know. Anyways, the point is, there's probably some neuro relation to the system that sugar acts on. And I'm completely forgetting ghrelin, and so in your digestive system. Anyways, it's probably all interlinked. But the point is, I need to look that up. But we can talk about it at some time. Maybe not all brains react to all substances the same. Maybe, definitely. Also, welcome, Raffle Iron Chef. You are 100% correct. Way to boom on in with a fucking mic drop fact. It's not a maybe, it's a for sure. It's a for sure. Not all brains react to all substances the same, which is why not all prescriptions work for everybody the same. Or even food. I don't know. But the individual differences are huge. As a former caffeine abuse specialist, it makes me giggle that it counts as a stimulant in some instances, and now I'm on medical meth. The years of undiagnosed ADHD. Well, and it's funny that you say that, because it doesn't just sometimes count as a stimulant, it is. It just is. You know, and I guess it depends what you operationally define as a stimulant, but from the neuroscience perspective, yep, she's a stimulant, she's right in there. Yeah. And again, it acts differently than a lot of the other stimulants, but the reason that it acts differently is related to the type of receptor that these are. And I don't want to get into like the greasy, nasty details because it gets a little dull, but the type of receptor that it is can kind of link up with another receptor in the area of the brain that's associated with reward. And points for anybody that knows what neurotransmitter it's probably linking up with, or what other type of receptor. It's a dopamine one, right? Which we know is a primary neuromodulator or neurotransmitter that's involved in the reward system. And there's a whole bunch of these densely packed adenosine receptors are found in a couple places in the brain. One of them is in your forebrain, so that's a more recently developed area of your brain that helps you with making decisions and executive function, we call it. So when adenosine receptors are blocked by caffeine, we're using the, lay nomenclature, when they're antagonized by caffeine, that's going to be the part of caffeine that promotes focus, clarity, cognition, and all of these things are true too. It does do these things, like people respond faster, reaction times are faster, etc. All of that. You're better at cognitive flexibility tasks, which I'm going to tell you about as well. But yeah, dopamine, there we go. I'm not a researcher, just very on it like that. Chronic. I love that. That's great. And I appreciate that. Yeah, damn, I'm so wicked smart. Yeah, my boy's wicked smart. Was that just a Boston accent? Am I just like so good at accents? Anyways, yeah, and I hate it. Anyways, lots of the highest proportion of people that use and even abuse caffeine are people with mental illnesses, neurospices, and smokers. And they think that there's some relationship in the type of receptor activity that they kind of promote, and that there's like some tie-ins there, which is interesting and also not my area. But the demographic epidemiological facts is that it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. I love that song. Yeah, you were totally from Boston. Burner, she's a witch. Hey, I cheer for Boston sports teams, so that's fine. I've never been to Boston. I really want to go. Anyways, I liked the hi. Really, it's good. But yeah, I think there's probably something to a little bit of a pseudo self-medication aspect to why individuals, particularly that have ADHD, do tend to use those types of stimulants, because it would have that kind of calming effect. And anecdotally, people do report that. There's kind of like two groups. There's people that are not caffeine adapted, that get like, which is me. I'm super caffeine sensitive, no matter how much, like, I'll get withdrawals if I don't drink it. If I've been like on it lots, I'll get headaches if I don't have it, and I'll be a little crabby. But when I have it, I don't usually get lots of the good part of it. I get the like, because there's also adenosine receptors on your heart and all kinds of other places, which is why caffeine can be toxic. Because if you think about it, adenosine receptors are what's like, you know, gonna regulate some sort of your circulatory system on your heart. And if you fuck with that too much, that's dead. You know, you don't fuck with things till you're dead. Stopped drinking coffee when I quit smoking because it was a trigger. See, and that's related. Okay, DK, I think you were here last week when we did the primer. That's a really great example of those cues that are relating something to something else, and also what we would call polypharmacy, right? So when we say pharmacy, we don't mean like the place you go to get your prescriptions. We mean pharmacological agents, which nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, you name it, all of those. Anything that changes your brain, those are pharmacological agents. And when you engage in more than one at a time, you're doing polypharmacy, which kind of has a more than the sum of its parts effect frequently on your reward system, which is why it's so hard to quit one without quitting the other. And probably why that was successful for you, hopefully. Good for you. Because it's not easy, right? Yeah, so, okay. Where were we? Where were we? I don't know. Boo-doo-boo. Oh, that's the other thing. When it's in your body and it's acting as a stimulant, remember that when your body gets stimulated or aroused, and I don't mean like aroused, I mean like aroused, right? Like your sympathetic nervous system is activated. That it changes your digestion and stuff, which is why there's like a diuretic effect to coffee, but it's not immediate, it's delayed, and there's like a whole bunch of like kind of balancing effects there in the way that it works. Ayo. What was I ayoing? Couldn't take a dump for a week. Yeah. Tea. Yeah, so the natural diuretic effect of caffeine is definitely one of the like kind of off-label effects that I think a lot of people are partially dependent on. Just saying. Coffee poops. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real ass thing, right? Because what it does is it draws water from surrounding tissues and stuff like that into kidneys and into your, you know, all that kind of stuff. And as we know, the more watery things are, the smoother they're gonna move, and the more you're gonna have to pee. So yeah. Hey girl, are you hurting? Because my nervous system is sympathetic. High key love that. And you know what? If the what just happened to me? I was about to say something so funny. Now my delivery is messed up. What's happening? I've like I've got the black lung. I feel like, you know in Killing Eve when she gives the girl the perfume thing? My tea's cold. My tea's cold. Anyways, if the guy on the Bixie that came up behind me after Barbie had been like, hey girl, you hurting? My sympathetic nervous system is whatever. Anyways, if he had delivered it nicely, maybe I wouldn't have pretended to be full gay. But I did. Oh no, you're allergic to the cheese. No. If I was allergic to cheese, I would be pretty upset. I really like cheese. I eat an obscene amount of cheese. It's actually remarkable that I'm able to have any bowel movements whatsoever, because I also previously, when we talk about eating disorders, I'm probably going to spill a whole bunch of personal tea, but I used to abuse laxatives and barf and like everything to try and be skinny. So yeah, anyways, that's TMI, but whatever. Been down here 9 days, tried 19 years. What are we talking about? I don't get it. I lost the 919. I lost the sauce. Anyways, okay, so we were talking about some of the positive effects of caffeine. So alertness, wakefulness, those are, we all know that. But also there's the kind of, you know, more subtle effects. I have the black lung paw. Oh, I see. You know, I don't even know what that's from. It feels like a Tiny Tim, kind of like, what's that show? Not Nightmare Before Christmas. What's the one with the ghosts and stuff? Anyways, Zoolander. Oh no, it's not from Zoolander. Zoolander is referencing Charles Dickens, I believe is what it is. Maybe? That sounds right. Christmas Carol? Christmas Carol? Yes, exactly. So much you get me. Muppet Christmas Carol? Best Christmas movie. Like, I don't even like Christmas, but that movie slaps. Anyways, what's happening? I think it's the husks. I think it's because this is high fiber. You guys can see it's like, it's puffed. Ugh. It's so healthy. Ooh. Let's see what it is. I gotta zoom in. Get closer. Soy protein crisps. Tapioca fiber. It tastes delicious, but what the shit is that? Anyways, I think I have a husk. Some sort of husk in the back of my throat. Anyways, the Muppets version is the only correct one. That's absolutely true. It's got Michael Caine and Rizzo the Rat. I love Rizzo. Anyways, I'm partial to 1970s musical adaptation. I don't do musicals. I know they're gonna kick me out of the queer community, aren't they? But yeah, I don't do musicals. Barbie was borderline a tiny bit too musical for me. I let it slide because it was so good in other ways. But like, if there was one thing, I'd make every song about 15 seconds shorter, minimum. I don't know. Anyways, that's life. That's the way she goes. We're talking about, sorry, we are revoking your membership card to gayness. Listen, you can revoke it all you want, but I'm still gonna. So, that's the way she goes. Sorry, not sorry. She's gonna do it illegally without a license. It's honestly, they don't even give you a license when you're bi anyway, because you're not gay enough to be gay and you're not straight enough to be straight. So they tell you you don't fit in anywhere. It's bi erasure. Making the movie shorter, that's what I tried to tell you earlier in the stream. I don't want the movie to be shorter. I want the songs to be shorter and the other parts of the movie to be, you know, by proxy longer then. I want a little bit more narrative. I want some more acting. I want, you know, I want a little bit more of the, like, I don't know. There was some good parts in the songs, but I'm just not a musical person, if we're being honest. Nah, they don't give bi people licenses because you're just a phase and therefore don't exist. It is just a phase. You know, I've been thinking about transferring to full-blown lesbianism, and then I saw Oppenheimer, and I was like, well, shit, Cillian Murphy, even when he's trying to, like, bomb the world, fucking making A-bombs and H-bombs, still hot. But wanna know who was hotter? Florence fucking Pugh. Holy. You see her out? It was nice. Oh my god, those tatas, right? Full-blown lesbianism. Yeah, you are not wrong. No, she's so beautiful. And with her shaved head when she was at the premiere, oh my god. Ugh. How? Anyways, I know she's so hot. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's distracting. Anyways. I was thinking about the Tatas again. Why am I like this? She could bomb my... Honestly, do you get big top energy from Florence, or do we get a switch or a bottoming energy? You know? Because a lot of people, like, I don't know what she is. I feel like she'd be an unpredictable, bratty switch. That's just what I think. Or hope. No, I'm just that much of a bottom bitch. Well, I mean, at least know your role in the community. Know yourself. Know thyself. Be, what is it? To thine own self be true. Yeah, do that. This is Shakespeare, right? Yeah, it was Polonius. Polonius? Anyways, doesn't matter. Okay, so there's adenosine receptors in a whole bunch of places in your brain. The place in your brain, front part of your brain, the frontal lobe, the forebrain, part of your brain that's at the fore, which is why we call your forehead. Anyways, that part that's responsible for cognition and stuff is the adenosine is blocked there, so it kind of like not promotes activity, but puts brakes on brakes, which is actually, you know what, I was saying earlier that it was brakes on brakes in my head, and I was like, is it disinhibition? Then I said it out loud, you guys heard me, and then I was like, is it disinhibition? I think it is, depending on where that's in. It doesn't matter. Anyways, if you put the brakes on the brakes, you're going to get net excitation. And note that I'm saying net excitation, not direct excitation, because caffeine isn't activating anything. It's just stopping the inactivation of something. It's taking the brakes away, right? Could be Shakespeare, could just as easily be Star Trek. I believe the prophet RuPaul Charles said, "To thine own self be true." It wasn't RuPaul. In any event, so one of the ways that they assess this is through classic things like just press this button as soon as you see a stimulus on a brain, like, or not on a brain, on a screen. So it'll be like, you know, press this button when you see the red dot, and they'll measure that down to the milliseconds after having given someone a control substance, something with caffeine in it at a low dose, something with caffeine in it at a higher dose, etc. And these are all at low therapeutic doses. That's not really the right nomenclature here, but it would be the non-toxic doses, the non-high-end parts of that. And at high doses, it acts in different ways in the brain that are completely independent of what I'm talking about here, in a bad way. And we're not really going to talk about that because I didn't really look into it that deep. I only have a little bit of notes. But, so one of the ways that we do that is with a reaction time task. So not 24 shots of espresso. No, you would have to have 100 cups of coffee in a short amount of time for you to get to the approximate toxic dose for like a standard person, which of course is the 70 kilogram white guy. We do know that's the standard, right? Anyways, yeah, what is effective for most people is about 1/10 as much as you would be approaching toxicity with. 100 cups of coffee in a sitting, very well, I accept your challenge. Do not do that. Do not do that. I do not want a lawsuit. Never do that. Also, you would get sick. You would get sick and you would vomit and like shit your ass off before you would get toxic, probably. But still don't do that. Could die of dehydration and all that kind of stuff. Like water toxicity is, don't do that. Just don't. I know you're gonna be like, you're not my real dad. Don't tell me how to live my life. But human benchmarks stream with and without caffeine to make sure. Pardon me. You're asking me to stream without caffeine? I haven't had caffeine since 11 this morning. I don't drink caffeine after noon. Like, after noon. I don't drink caffeine in the afternoon. That's also true. Occasionally I will. If I'm trying to like, and I know I don't need to get up early the next day, then I will. But here's the other thing. Because of the way that caffeine will block your adenosine receptors, this is how it affects sleep. I'm bouncing all over the place today, you guys. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at even staying on topic within a topic, but sucks to suck. You're here. You don't need to be. I appreciate you, though. Actually, I've done this twice, but I had 2 separate dingus people say caffeine doesn't affect me, and then I made them drink a drink and chugged it, and they had to send them homesick. Yeah, that's horseshit. Anybody that's like, ugh, I can sleep after drinking a cup of coffee, I'm like, congratulations. It doesn't mean you're unable to sleep, but it will absolutely change the quality of your sleep regardless. You will go into less deeper sleep, you'll have less REM sleep, it will just be less restorative overall, because even if you're not completely all like blockade style antagonizing every adenosine receptor, there's probably still going to be some kicking around there. And remember, we talked about competitive versus not, right? So in an unaltered system, all the adenosine would go on all the adenosine receptors and be like, you have a nice sleep. And if we didn't have stress and all that kind of stuff, that would also be a thing. That's obviously not reality. But if you have coffee and you don't give your body enough time to eliminate it through its half-life and beyond, there's still going to be some kicking around, and maybe you're not getting the neurocognitive effects anymore, maybe you're not getting the bodily effects anymore, but it's still doing something to your nervous system. Beep. You know? I don't know why I just said beep, but I like that. I like ending something like that. Like, oh, you want to know what that was? Guys, that was an answering machine. I was being an answering machine because, like, here's the thing. You can't talk back to an answering machine. Don't ask me where I'm going with this, but, like, hear me out. You know how people will be like, period. And that's on blah. You know, like, they'll, like, be like, mic drop. I think I'm going to start beep. I think I'm going to start beep. Feel free to take it out on the open road. You don't have to cite your sources. That's a freebie you guys can just take out. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with, I really like beep. I'm being so self-congratulatory right now, but I've had a rough week, okay? It's fine. Anyways, so curing hunger with food makes me thirsty. Curing tiredness with caffeine makes me shaky. Yeah, so the shaky part is the cardiovascular activation for the most part. And remember that caffeine is also a vasoconstrictor. Vaso, blood, constrictor, small. Boat constrictor, small, right? So that's why it seems to help with migraine, and they don't really understand why it helps with migraine, but whatever. It does seem to have something to do with your pain activation system. And I suspect that it's because of the inhibitory effects of the adenosine being blocked and that inhibitory kind of like restful state being associated with what you would want to do when you're in pain, because that would help healing and stuff. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. Beep. I think beep is hilarious. I love that. Man, that's funny. So, I never thought of that. Never thought of what? Caffeine also is a light appetite suppressant. And I don't really know why, if I'm being honest. It's probably just because of adenosine receptors in your stomach somehow. But it also does something to adipose tissues, which is like a type of fat tissue, and I don't really know that either, what's going on. You know, like I said, guys, I did do research, but maybe not my best research. And the more doors I opened, the more I was like, oh, I'm going to need to know this in order to understand that. And I just started like losing it. I brought out my textbook. I might take it out again. That sleep would still affect, that caffeine would still affect the quality of sleep, even if I can fall asleep, which I often can. Oh, absolutely. It's 100% a thing. 100% a thing. Which is also a thing when you use stimulant prescriptions. So this is things like Ritalin and Adderall and Modafinil and Vyvanse and those sorts of things. Any of the kind of amphetamine family that tend to be prescribed for like narcolepsy or more commonly ADHD. Those things, they have frequently you get prescribed the long-acting, slow-release ones because they're less easy to abuse and to turn into drugs that, like, if it's the short-acting ones, you can just snort those and that's just speed. But what they've done in order to basically make it so you don't have a big high and then a low after those stimulants is they've made it so that it's kind of long-lasting, so you get a nice plateau of the effect, and also it makes it less abusable, which is nice, right? But similarly, this is also going to affect your ability to get to a deeper level of sleep. So while you are kind of getting the stimulant effect during the day, you're also not recharging the battery the same at night. Frequently, people report that they're able to wake up easier when they're on even things like ephedrine and stuff like that. So yeah, don't snort them, but if you do snort them, it is just speed. Fun fact, don't snort Adderall. You could. Here's the fun thing about that family of stimulants. Okay, let's back up a second. Don't do any of these things that I'm about to describe. Don't take drugs unless you consult your doctor. Don't take drugs from people you don't know. Don't go into the van. Don't take the lollipop. Maybe if there's a puppy, consider it. But like, anyways, the thing about amphetamine is it is pretty fucking safe. That's why they can give it to children. Can you imagine? The reason that we don't give children, like, you couldn't give them cocaine. And theoretically that should have the same effect to ameliorate ADHD. But cocaine could very easily kill them. The effective dose and the toxic dose, if you picture like a, you know, it's called a dose response curve. We're gonna draw, babies. That's my budget. Don't look at that. I mean, look at that and please send me food. But that's a whole different thing. Anyways, the effective dose to the toxic dose, look at a little graph here. Say the effective dose, therapeutic dose, the dose that you would feel the effects of, is there. And the toxic dose is here. This is probably going to be backwards for y'all, but basically this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis, and the effective dose is here and the toxic dose is way over there for amphetamine. For cocaine, it's more like that. It's way closer, space, small, right? So you can be having a gay old time, snorting rails, doing gay details, whatever. And that's all fine and good, but you can go from having a nice time to be like tuned and too tuned, you know, life-threateningly, lethally tuned pretty easily. Whereas with amphetamine, that distance between feeling feisty and too turned is quite a bit further apart, which is why they can use it pharmacologically, because remember, the first hurdle of getting a drug into circulation in the general population, so the first step in clinical trials, is make sure it does not kill people and make sure it doesn't cause like significant harm, right? So yeah, that's the thing, is you can snort Adderall. It's probably not going to get you as high as you would like. Yeah. Like, don't do it because it's just a waste of Adderall more than anything. But you could do it and you would probably be fine. You could probably do it a lot and probably be fine. Don't do it, but facts. Fun fact, that's also why they use ketamine for anesthetics with children, because you can be so deep in the K-hole, but so far from dead. It's great. Anyways, yeah. Is that really a fun fact? LOL, don't do drugs, kids. Stay away from pumpkins. What's pumpkins? Don't put it in your mouth. Don't you put it in your mouth. It's Canadian lore for y'all. I'm just saying, no matter how hot the person who offers it to you is, you probably shouldn't snort it. Moving on. things I never thought I would hear, the reason why they don't give children cocaine. I mean, there's other reasons. It's probably more expensive too. Remember that like synthetic amphetamines are stupid cheap, right? Anyways, I'm not saying that they're like good for you. You could still very much harm yourself. You just won't die. Likely. You could still die. It's just the risk, the risk of dying, death risk, lethality, just lower, you know? Anyways, so yeah, if a kid breaks its arm, their arm, if a child breaks their arm, they give them ketamine and they go straight in the K-hole. You can see it, their eyes, their pupils dilate like dimes immediately. Anyways. People who ask to snort Adderall with you aren't usually neuroscientists. Not usually, but not never. Effective dose was only what we were able to afford in those days. Honestly, street stimulants are unlikely to be significantly they're likely amphetamine because it's so much cheaper, which is why when you buy heroin now, it's almost certainly fentanyl, right? Because it's so incredibly, like the profit margins for a drug dealer are way higher. And like, you got to think cartels and stuff like that they're not in it to give you a good high, right? Anyways, usually not, and they have some other types of drugs on them. It's quicker, it's all more intense, but lasts much shorter. Well, so here's the other thing. If we're talking about different modes of administration, which is really interesting and something that's kind of funny that we've chosen drinking coffee because it's the easiest, right? But it's not necessarily the most effective. Because your stomach lining is really good at absorbing, any sort of mucous membrane is really good at absorbing. But I mean, theoretically, we could be like, you know, doing like a Dristan caffeine thing. It's just probably going to taste really gross, right? Or you would have to be doing lots of it at a very small dose, and that's just weird. But drinking something there's a lot more ceremony to it. It's a lot less socially kind of like weird than putting things up your nose, right? Like even using Dristan, which is like totally kosher, it seems really weird to do in public, right? And it is a little bit quicker because one, snorting things, insufflating, we call that, insufflating. Insufflating doesn't have far to go, right? So putting anything in your here, sublingual, under your tongue, under, lingual, lingus, in your eye, in your nose, in your ear, all of that pretty quick. And as I think it was OKDK was saying, it comes on fast and it drops off quickly. That's going to be, the drop off is going to be a little bit more to do with the pharmacodynamics of the drug. So it's going to have a lot more to do with that thing, affinity, I was talking about earlier. So you'll hear anecdotally, and I'll talk about this again in the opioid episode, but you'll hear anecdotally when people are in an acute opioid overdose, they have probably a longer acting opioid in their system. Let's say it's heroin or fentanyl. And the half-life of those drugs is, you know, I can't remember exactly what it is, but let's say 4 hours. And if you're trying to rescue them with something like Narcantin or naloxone or any of those things, naloxone is a super competitive antagonist for the mu opioid receptor, which is what the drugs are acting on. So it comes and it boots that out and stops activating it, which is why people like really fast come out of it. But you'll frequently have to redose them because it dissociates from the receptor after a while, and then there's still heroin or fentanyl kicking around that's like, oh, don't mind if I do, I'm gonna go bind to that receptor now and continue the overdose. Know what I mean? Anyways, so that affinity, the potency, and all of that has a little bit more to do with duration than does route of administration. The route of administration does have a little bit to do with it. Yeah, which is why you parachute things like Molly rather than snorting it typically. Also because Molly burns if you snort it. Anyways, snort saline, not drugs. Yeah. Do a neti pot rather than insufflate saline. Anyways, snorting pills eats your nose lining. That's not exceptionally true. Like, they don't put stuff in it that would eat your nose lining, because consider things, like, they don't do that deliberately, but there definitely is irritants. But the drug itself is also an irritant, you know, for being honest. It's not just stuff in pills. Anything you put up your nose that's not supposed to be there, there's a reason they made the holes small and full of gross. Because it's, yeah. Anyways, today I learned about the K-hole from Neuralicia Mom. Yeah, Mom, today Neuralicia talked about the K-hole. Indeed, and affordability. My phone's telling me to take my nighttime meds because usually I'm getting ready for bed at this time. We call 60 ml Adderalls pumpkins in college because they were orange. Oh, they are. And you want to know what? Vyvanse, some of the Vyvances in the higher doses, I think the 30 milligram Vyvances are half and half. They're half white, half orange. And that's a pretty strong one. Anyways, I'm clipping that. I don't know what are you clipping? I don't know. You're welcome. This was back in the day, I guess. We'd buy Adderalls from a friend who had a prescription. Oh, hell yeah. No, I mean, I've definitely taken drugs that I am not prescribed. I mean, I have taken prescription drugs that I have not prescribed for study purposes and focus purposes, never for recreational that way. Like, I've never taken Adderall for funsies. It's only been for studiesies, which is like booksies, I guess. Anyways, yeah, people have Adderall less these days. I think Vyvanse is like the one that people are vancing, they call it, to get a little bit tuned on Vyvanse is called vancing. Hilarious. Vyvanse is incredibly effective. Keep in mind that these things are also very dehydrating, as is coffee. People are like, oh, coffee's not actually dehydrating because it's full of water. But it is. On balance, it is. Most people are like already a bit dehydrated. So while the coffee itself might be a little bit balanced out by the water that it's being carried in, water's like acute effects versus caffeine's like 2 hours like acting in your body, you know? Anyways, we're already covered. Coffee up the butt is a solution. That's true. You can do that. It's just probably like less easy to sip a coffee with your butt in a meeting. But I'm not deterring anyone from trying it. Wait, I'm supposed to be drinking it through my mouth? Exactly. Coffee up the butt is socially weird. Yeah, you see? Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. You're not the boss of me. I'll take my business elsewhere, to Denny's, like a civilized being. I have definitely seen people do drugs in a Denny's. Watch it or you'll get banned to the Waffle House. Damn it. Gotta keep it classy, unlike the slums of the Waffle House. I've never been to a Waffle House. Is that America? Just got swapped to Adderall. Vyvanse was fucking my sleep. Rude. Yeah, so that is a thing. Could be dose dependent, but yeah, Adderall will be a little bit more of a front load, so to speak. That's fascinating. Is Vyvanse trending in the US? What's Vyvanse? Bisexual Vyvanse? That sounds nice. You guys are gonna have a little bit more of my chocolate thing. There's just a little crumb. Food. What's up? Stay up studying for 18 hours on Adderall and go straight to exam. Ah, good times. See, I can't go to an exam without sleep. I can't do anything without sleep. Like, I have to sleep. Even if I'm out till like 8 a.m. or something. Like, I'm not even coming home till 8 a.m. and I could just like rock into the world continually, I would be so visibly not okay that it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. Old Man Felonious, hello, hi. Oh, look, that's not ahead of things. Oh, no. The little new follow is too far behind things. See, it should be, let's get in front so we can see him. New follow. There he is. Look at the little trotty little rat. Looks like a Long Evans rat. That's what a Long Evans rat looks like. Anyways, Old Man Felonious, hi. Hello, how are you? Welcome. I'm Neuroscience. We're talking about caffeine and apparently putting drugs up your butt. Hello. Yeah, welcome. Welcome. Yeah, I guess I'll do a little like intro since there's at least one new person here. I'm Neuroscience. I'm doing my PhD in neuroscience. I also have a master's and undergraduate honors degree. My specialty used to be addiction, and now I study pain, and I still like both of them. And we're doing an addiction series. Today's caffeine, tomorrow's who knows. And it's not actually tomorrow, it's gonna be next week, but it sounded cooler. Anyways, caffeine up the butt. Vivance, yeah. Welcome in. Good to meet you in chat. Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty like chat interacty person, because that's part of the fun. It's part of the fun, right? I also do a really fun kind of two-person, like not podcast style, but kind of podcast style. Me and my close friend and colleague in the same lab do our own little stream at the Vulgar Science channel, which you can see on the left. We do that every Wednesday, and we're in the middle of a personality disorder series. So you get addiction series here, personality disorders there. It's all kinds of fun. Everything gets a little spicy. It's fun. Anyways. Oh, hi. Yeah, long time no see. You guys know each other. Welcome. Welcome. We love a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. Or just a friend of a friend. Or just a friend. Oh my God. Anyways, okay. So, guys, do you know how many fucking times? It's been like a half an hour that I've been wanting to talk about something called the Wisconsin card sorting task, which is a way of measuring cognitive flexibility. And I don't say that because it's like this be-all, end-all test, but I say it because it's going to link to some of the stuff I said last week and some important concepts in addiction. And I'll tell you why after I explain it. So cognitive flexibility is the ability to think in dynamic ways, to problem solve and adapt to changing situations, right? So obviously it's a really adaptive thing. Most people need it for part of their day, if not most of their day. Yeah, so look at this. Oh, I love the little wavy guy. Hype wave. Old Man Felonious streams really cool and sometimes intellectually stimulating content that ranges from electrical engineering to feminist advocacy to social theory. I love it. I love it. I will check you out, Old Man Felonious. That sounds right up my alley. Maybe less of the engineering stuff, but you never know. When delivered right, any topic can be delightful. And honestly, frequently when I'm in science streams, like science streams or astro or paleontologizing or Ariella or Mahoodles or any of these amazing science streamers, half the time I'm just there because they're wonderful people and science is kind of the bonus. Anyways, I'm sure you're wonderful. I'll check you out. Thank you for coming on in. Preach. Big preach. Hey, fellow electrical engineer. Okay, DK, you're an electrical engineer? Girl, I don't know anything about anybody. I always get the one mixed up with the Wilcoxon ranked test. How? The utterly Wilcoxon ranked test is a statistic for non-parametric data, and the Wisconsin card sorting task is a well, I'm about to describe it. Exactly. I'm not a science person, like, at all, but I love smart, passionate people a lot. T. Yeah, honestly. And I identify with that, so yeah. Don't worry, Alicia. I'm not secretly an electrical engineer. Are you out and proud as an electrical engineer? I'm an out and proud crock lover recently. I was in the crock closet for a long time. I'm just gonna let this happen. Should everybody take a deep breath? Oh. This is why you can't have nice things. I'm gonna make her a little nest. I can't let her know that I'm looking at her or she'll stop doing it. Oh, she's so cute. Oh, that's some dog butt there. You're welcome. You guys are getting full dog ass and I don't even care. I want her to do the circle. A baby. Just a little baby. Anyways, I'll never finish describing the Wisconsin card sorting task because I'm just gonna keep losing track of my thoughts. But isn't my dog adorable? Oh my god. Anyways, I got the degree in electrical engineering, but I'm in tech consulting now. I don't really know how that's altogether that different, if I'm being honest. I'm sure that there's some very important nuance to it, but it all just sounds like computer stuff to me. I know some basics about it. Oh my god, he's digging. Yeah, it's my favorite thing that dogs do, is when they make their little den. I'm here for Hoon. What's required to call an electrical engineer? Because I sort of know the Maxwell Heaviside functions. Ugh. If you can calculate inductance from a diagram, it's EE enough. LOL. Peach. Oh yeah, she was given lots of peach there. Well, there was more lettuce scrunchy than anything there, but you know. I don't know, I forgot all of it. LMAO. Yeah, she's very adorable. That's my girl. She's my heart and soul. Honestly, I love that dog. I cuddle with her so much, and she's getting cuddlier as she gets a little bit older, or maybe she's just more tolerant of me. Anyways, cognitive flexibility is obviously very useful, and one of the ways that we assess this that's probably the easiest to understand, and you guys may have even seen it in like pop media, like sitcoms or something, is they have those cards with like little symbols on them. These are just coasters, but I'm using them because they're what I have nearby. And they'll have the ones that have like circles, squares, star, etc. And they'll also have colors, right? So there'll be a blue star, yellow star, red star, green star, stuff like that, right? I don't know what the actual ones are, but what they'll do is they'll tell people to sort the cards according to an untold rule. So it might be to sort by color. So, you know, put them in separate piles according to green, regardless of color, shape, or sorry, regardless of shape. And then they'll switch, like you'll get told if you're right or wrong. Usually you match it to the previous one. So they'll have showed like a yellow star, and then they'll show a blue star, and then they'll be like, is it a match or not? And then if you say yes, but the thing wasn't sorting by shape, it was sorting by color, it'll tell you you're wrong. And what happens is when you change the rule without telling the participant, they will be like, huh? Okay. And usually they'll keep trying different combinations until they figure out the new rule implicitly. And then they'll go with that rule for a certain number of trials. And then they'll switch the rule again. And the idea is the number of trials that it takes from rule switch to figuring it out is indicative of cognitive flexibility. And there is a degree of trait, indwelling, individually relatively stable ability for cognitive flexibility, but there's also, trait. That's trait, not state. Back it up. There is some evidence for trait, an indwelling, enduring trait, a relatively stable trait of cognitive flexibility abilities, but there's also a much more robust literature about state abilities to do that. And the state trait difference we talked a bit about on Vulgar Science earlier this week, but basically the easiest example of something like that is anxiety. If a explosion goes off down the street from where you are, you're probably going to have high state anxiety. Your current state is high anxiety. If you're me and you're neurospicy, you have high trait anxiety, which means that you're just always a little bit worried about everything, which lots of people are. But of course, there's varying degrees, and that's a really easy way to conceptualize it. But lots of these things operate, lots of behavioral or observable, you know, human phenomena or even animal phenomena operate on this kind of state trait pseudo dichotomy. Pardon me. Yeah, I'm the second one that all the time anxious. Yeah, they talk about that in the Barbie movie. It's kind of funny. Anyways, so that's a Wisconsin card sorting task. And the way that that applies to addiction in a completely un-caffeine related way is that cognitive flexibility and behavioral flexibility are kind of very closely linked, obviously. So the way you act to solve a problem is usually based on your brain's flexibility in thinking of how to solve that problem, right? And last week we talked about how addiction, some people theorize that addiction is a habit, something you do automatically without thinking. And that it becomes, you know, lots of people say that smoking a cigarette is an oral fixation, an oral habit. And that's one of the theories of addiction. And I would argue that that doesn't hold a whole lot of water, because one of the very important characteristics of really pathological addiction is that people will do almost fucking anything for their addictive substance or behavior of choice, right? So if a gambler is banned from all the casinos or promises their, you know, family that they're not going to continue to gamble, they might still play online gambling on their phone. They're flexible. They don't need to only play blackjack in one casino. They'll go anywhere. If someone's highly addicted to, say, the stimulant cocaine, they don't care if they get it from their regular dealer. They don't care if they have to go across town. They don't give a fuck. They're highly flexible in their ways to get whatever it is they're motivated to get, which is by definition the very opposite of a habit, right? If I told you you have to fasten your shoes to your feet, but you can't tie your shoes, I could think of 8 different ways to do that right now. You could duct tape them to your feet. You could tie them up with little strings. You could scrunch up your toes so they just kind of stay on with tension. You could put your Crocs in sport mode. You know what I mean? So the fact that behavioral kind of outputs of addiction, the procurement of the addictive target, I guess, is just, that's the opposite of habit, like diametrically opposed. So I think to me that shoots the habit theory kind of dead in the water. And one of the ways that you can assess that flexibility, that behavioral flexibility that's presumably related to cognitive flexibility in preclinical rodents, in addiction models, in rats and mice and stuff like that, is you can tell them, okay, you press this button, you get cocaine. And they'll be like, sweet, love that, let's go, beep, 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 right? And then if you randomly change it and you say, okay, now you need to go spin a little wheel, and they do make little rat wheels, hilarious. It's like, what's the show with Bob Barker? You know, with the big wheel? Anyways, it's just like that. It's about that, like, scale, too. It's like, it's bigger. It's huge. It's so funny. Anyways, and it clicks. It's cool. Anyways, you can tell them, like, that's the way you get it. But you don't tell them because they're rats. You can't be like, hello, rat, you need to go spin the cocaine wheel now. Price is Right. Yes, thank you. Anyways, that's, they'll figure it out, because they'll by proxy be like, okay, my cocaine button is not working. What's up? Shit. Why don't I go try that wheel? And then they'll be like, oh, wheel? Love that. You know? So that shows a little bit of exploratory flexibility, and they'll then switch that to be their target. And even if you take the cocaine away from there, they'll be like, I'll try that, and I'll try the liver. I'll try all the different things. I am flexible about the way I get my drugs. So that's one thing. You can also include increasing barriers. So maybe, you know, at the beginning of your addiction, you're dating someone that is a drug dealer or something like that. So you just always have your drug of choice around, perhaps, right? And then maybe you break up with that person because usually in a codependent substance abuse relationship, things don't go well. fancy that. So then you have to figure out a different way to do it. And instead of it just being in your house and you need to go to the other room and get it from the supply, don't get high off your own supply, you have to meet up with one of your friends that also does it. So it's imposing like extra steps. And then maybe you move to a new city and you have to go to a bar to like meet kind of shady people and be like, hey, do you have anything that would wake me up? You know? And like people will go through those hoops. And there's ways to model that in experimental animals as well, because you can make it so, okay, now you don't need to just press the lever. You need to press the lever and you need to spin the wheel and you need to do it in that order. You need to press the lever, spin the wheel, and put your little nose in a little hole called a nose book. Anyways, we can model these things is the point. Yeah. You guys are talking about some sort of EE stuff. Close enough. Yeah, I'm the second one, anxious. I have heard of smoking as a stim recently. It is a stimulus. Stimming, I don't really know what that is. Stimulating is what people mean by that. I don't really know. That's a lay word that I think is kind of a floppy in terms of definition. I think it can mean a lot of different things depending on who you ask. It's not a piece of our scientific lexicon, if you will. It's not something that we would use in the science. Not that that means that it's not a useful word or an important word. It's just not one that has a unified meaning that we all agree on. Can this act as a distinguisher between substance use disorders and behavioral addictions? Well, I would argue that those, to some people, would be kind of crossing over. The circles would cross over between those two things. We don't actually ever diagnose addiction. That's not in the DSM. It's not in the ICD. You can't diagnose addiction. We diagnose substance use disorders. They are by their very nature that. However, that is one of the ways that you can identify it. So I talked about this before, but there's 3 aspects to addiction that distinguish it from casual use. So the addictive person will escalate their dose or dose frequency. So this is, people that drink 8 beers instead of 6 that they used to drink, and they used to drink 4. Or they'll binge harder, or they, increase their dose. That's called escalation. Then there's an aspect of it called compulsivity. This is the urge to do things despite negative consequences, the continuance of doing things despite negative consequences. So this is, you lose your job because you're always hungover and you never go to work, but you continue to use alcohol, right? Or you have emphysema, but you keep smoking, right? Or you lose your partner, or, it can vary from small things to big things. But the point is, if you're experiencing negative consequences and you continue and you persist, that's one aspect of addiction. And again, we don't call it addiction, we call it substance use disorder. And I'm kind of bundling a few of the diagnostic criteria because it's easier to remember these 3 things, but they kind of encompass some of the larger, more specific things. The last one is relapse, which is an attempt to quit or cut back that fails. And the statistics on that are 95% of attempts to quit will result in relapse. It's bad. Anyways, yeah, so I guess it can act as a distinguisher between casual use of a substance specifically, or casual engaging in a behavior, and problematic versions of it, I think, would be maybe a little bit more tuned of a version of what you said there, but it's not entirely untrue. I just would tune it that way. Once you're hooked, you need to smoke just to not feel shitty. And that's the withdrawal hypothesis, the allostatic theory of addiction that we talked about last week, right? Which supposes that it is what we would call negative reinforcement that's perpetuating the behavior. And that sounds great, right? It has a whole lot of truthiness to it. You keep using heroin because heroin withdrawal is hell on earth. You keep smoking because smoking withdrawal, you gain weight, you're crabby, all those things, whatever. You can add this to basically any drug. There's withdrawal effects. Even caffeine. You keep drinking caffeine so you don't get the caffeine headache, right? However, those things subside pretty quickly in some cases, and people relapse years later. You're not in withdrawal a week later. if you come off caffeine, maybe there's some like psychosomatic kind of effects there that are maybe driving it. And that's if I'm stretching, right? But if we're talking physiological withdrawal effects, those are gone, right? Smoking, fucking 6 months later, how many people have quit smoking for fucking years and light up again one time because they're out drinking and whatever, and I'll just have a little drag. And then they're like, and then they're just back to full-blown smoking. My mother, for example, not to out her, but you know, I know my grandmother had cancer. She still smokes. You know, like the very nature of that is why the withdrawal hypothesis can't be the whole explanation for addiction. Certainly that is part of motivation to continue using drugs, but it's a small part. It's a small part, right? Anyways, Crocs in sport mode, loud. Guys, I'm so behind, I'm sorry. I said that like 10 fucking minutes ago. Wow, now I'm thinking about feet doing all sorts of wild things. These feet are shaking hands. Well, feet are the hands of the leg. We know that here. If you put shoes on your hands and walk, you just hold them. Yeah, that's true. Price is Right. Conversely, if you give me enough cocaine, I will run in a giant wheel too. I would do that anyway. But yeah, your physiological abilities and outputs are definitely increased when you're on stimulants, which is why we talked last at Vulgar Science a little bit about debunking like health and sports myths. And when people talk about pre-workout, that's my favorite thing to be like, you're wasting your time with pre-workout, because the main thing that's in it is the stimulant, the caffeine, and that will give you the effect. So you could just have a cup of coffee. You don't need like peach ring flavored pre-workout. So anyways, we talked a bit about that, and we'll get a whole episode about that, and I think it'll be fun. Anyways, what does one define as enough? I would argue that if you gave someone even a little bit of cocaine, they'd probably be more inclined to do that. I'll put my nose in a lot of holes. What? I'll put my nose in a lot of holes for cocaine, teehee. That's innuendo, teehee. Real talk though, never tried it. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know. It's pretty addictive, you know? But reading about something and experiencing something are two different things. But that's okay. You don't need to experience all the things. What about internet gaming disorder, which is in the ICD? So yeah, there's a lot of disorders that are being discussed about being included on the next round of the DSM. The current DSM, I don't know if the DSM-5 TR, let's find out. Gaming. But I am planning to talk about it. So gaming is one that I think they're planning to include. Conditions for further study, internet gaming disorder is one that they consider for future study. Yeah. So the proposed criteria, we can talk about this, and I do plan to talk about gaming as one of the things, but it's much like a lot of like the substance abuse ones. There's preoccupation, mental preoccupation. When it's taken away, you're distressed. So that's like the withdrawal symptoms. Anyways, I don't want to give away the farm because we are going to talk about this when I talk about that one. But yeah, that's certainly something that people argue is a behavioral addiction, right? And there's some people that are purists that are like, addiction is a pharmacological, you know, disease. It's a disease that happens because of pharmacological manipulations, and I would disagree with that, but there's not a whole lot of really great conclusive evidence that those things are addictive according to what we would use as addictive criteria for canonical substance abuse, right? But does that mean that they're not problematic? No. Things don't need to be the same to be bad, you know? Like, you don't have to have depression to have mental illness. You can have anxiety. You can be all kinds of neurospicy. That's why we have a book this fucking thick, right? It can still be distressing. It just doesn't have to be the same thing. Anyways, I think I have to snooze now. Thank you for accommodating me on this stream. Oh, it was lovely to have you. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your contributions and your questions, and I hope we see you again at Vulgar Science, and I hope I see you again here. It was a pleasure. That was my life reuse. Self-stimulatory behavior is what I mean with stimming. So rather than rocking and flapping hands or repetitive noises, smoking is the repetitive behavior because of the motions, pacing, and hand-to-mouth movements. Sure, I would argue that that probably isn't the driving force behind the smoking. It might be a part of it, but you know, if it was that, then I should be able to give you a non-nic vape, which I use sometimes. And that should be able to completely supplant it. If it is entirely explainable as just a stimming behavior, or just I would argue that that description of stimming is just a different way to describe a habit. But I do know that stimming is a thing for autism spectrum disorder and ADHD. People talk about stimming and vocal stimming and stuff like that, but this isn't something that we really talk about. There is what we call stereotyped behaviors, and those are behaviors that tend to be repetitive and not entirely voluntary. And that would be the closest kind of scientific equivalent of what I would believe that people are calling stimming these days. But I think there would have to be a little bit more like crosstalk between what the people mean and what we mean as scientists, right? But we do know about stereotyped behavior, and all of the things that you're describing are those. And another stereotyped behavior, when people grind their teeth when they're on coke, when people are like, you know, and they get all like, gurning, they call that. Anyways, welcome to the fun. Have a nice snooze. Sleep well. Yeah. Anyways, so I guess this is a nice tidy way to circle back to, is caffeine something you can be addicted to? If those three criteria that encompass the canonical ways to diagnose substance use disorder, which is basically our proxy word for what most lay people consider addiction, would it meet those criteria? Escalation? I think it meets that criteria. I think people use caffeine more. But the thing is with escalation is it's more than intended, right? Like you slippery slope, like, ooh, I didn't mean to drink that much. I hadn't planned to drink that much, you know, when you're drinking alcohol. But I don't know that a whole lot of people would be like, oh, I only planned to have 2 cups of coffee, but I just kept drinking it. But maybe, right? Like I speak as someone that doesn't really abuse caffeine a whole lot. So I think maybe it would meet that. There's an aspect to escalation that is related to what we would call tolerance, and that's physiological building of a tolerance to the same dose, which is why people need increasing doses to achieve the same effect, right? And I think that happens with caffeine. Some people, you know, 1 cup of coffee used to be enough to wake them up. Now they need more to have the same effects, certainly with the cognitive effects as well, right? So maybe that one could be true. Compulsivity. Would they use it despite negative consequences? What would be the main negative consequence? Jitteriness in the coffee shits? I don't know that those are aversive enough to constitute compulsivity. Like pathological compulsivity. I don't think it achieves that criteria. And this is assuming that those are the criteria, right? Like, I mean, I'm not saying that is the be all end all. I'm saying that's our current understanding of it. So addiction as we've defined it in the mental health industry as it stands right now, I don't think. But this is another disorder that's like for further study and is in consideration for being added to a further DSM, but people don't study caffeine as a substance use disorder. They do study caffeine a little bit, but they don't study it with the lens of addiction, right? It's something that we don't have a lot of data on. So we can test these hypotheses very easily. I say easily as in they're existing tests. We don't have to get creative. We could just do the same tests that we do for other things and just use coffee instead of cocaine, right? And see if the effects come out the same. And I'm sure that people have, but not enough. There's not enough coherence. There's not enough agreeance to say conclusively this is a disorder. And the reason that people are so reticent to do that is because previously we've put things like being gay as a disorder. And talk about a whoopsie. Like, are you fucking kidding me? That led to the oppression of like a whole fuck bunch of people, right? So keeping in mind that addiction comes with a bunch of stigma, do we want to say that something like caffeine that, yeah, kind of maybe technically meets a little bit of the criteria, and maybe people are using it a bit more than they should, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I actually got a dip now too. Always fun being here. Have a good weekend, folks. It was very nice seeing you, okay, DK. I appreciate you being here all the time. It's always a pleasure to have you, okay, DK. I feel like most caffeine users plateau at some point and they just live at 8 cups a day and that's it. Well, and consider that that's kind of delimited by the vessel that a lot of people brew in, right? Like if it's 8 cups of Starbucks a day, I would argue that that would be a small proportion because there's, you know, those added barriers, right? Like if you've had 2 cups of coffee and you're at a place that doesn't have a coffee maker and you're not near a Starbucks, you're not going to be like, all right, I gotta go get my 3rd cup of coffee. Maybe some people are going to be a bit jonesing, but they're not going to be as jonesy as they would for a canonically addictive substance, which again, I think that that's one of the missing aspects to caffeine that would make it so I don't think that it's something that you can be addicted to. I think you can be dependent on it, but those are 2 very different things, right? Being dependent on something for ordinary functioning, that's dependence. Being addicted to something is pathologically getting in your own way for the procurement of that substance or behavior or addictive target, right? Caffeine and heart problems, big time. Yeah, that's one. But the link isn't super close. And remember, for negative consequences, the temporal specificity, the timing is what that means. The timing of a negative consequence is really important, which is why if you come home to your dog having pissed on the floor, getting mad at them doesn't work. It doesn't stop them from doing that because they don't tie it together. It's the same reason that people speed, because there's so many times that you don't get in trouble for it or get hurt for it or whatever. And heart disease and, you know, all those sorts of things is so temporally, time-wise divorced from the things that it's not, you know, a 1-to-1 ratio like, oh, you smoke and you can feel the cancer building up. You can't. And even if you could, I would argue that the appetitive, addictive qualities of nicotine would still overwhelm that. And that's why those things are considered addictive, right? So I don't think caffeine's meeting that quality. Maybe the first one, maybe a tiny bit the second one. And relapse? Oh, that's probably the easiest one. If you're like, I'm quitting coffee, I'm going on a detox, because you're a dum-dum. Sorry. Detox culture is wrong. Your body detoxes itself. The only time that you need assistance detoxing is if you're in acute renal failure or if you're having some sort of like hepatic episode related to your liver. Your body detoxifies itself well, support your body's natural rhythms, and you're doing just fine. You don't need to drink a tea and shit your ass off. You just need to live, and you're detoxifying. We're all detoxing right now. Anyways, yeah. Later, friend. Good night. Enjoy the weekend. 1 pot of espresso every morning. The question, indeed, what size of pot? Yeah. Well, and consider also, oh God, I'm at that point in the night. You can tell that I'm at the approximate 3-hour mark because my lower back, I'm just gonna lean forward. We're just gonna do a little lower back stretch. We're gonna continue, but here, I'll tilt. There we go. Anyways, the roast, the bean type. Remember that decaf coffee has caffeine in it too. The other thing that's interesting is if you add caffeine at sub-threshold levels to things for various organisms, humans being the main one, if you just add a little bit of sub-threshold caffeine so it's not detectable, and then you just ask people what they like more, packaging wise, substance wise, like the taste isn't there, it's undetectable, it's that good at activating your reward system that you'll prefer those things that had the caffeine in it. Interesting, right? Which is good evidence for it being somewhat addictive, because activating your reward system in an aberrant fashion is kind of a large part of addiction, right? Caffeine holds that nebulous spot with liquor where it feels like it's acceptable to use in questionable ways. Yeah, a little bit, hey? It's one of those sanctioned psychoactive substances. Oh, you guys, let's just have a community stretch. Oh my God. My body is broken. Oh. Ugh. Everyone just stretch your body, because one day you'll be 55 like I am, and you'll be stiff after sitting in a chair for 3 hours. You won't be able to do it. My hip, stretch. Yeah, I just baked cookies. Did we figure out addiction yet? Dunk's cookie and coffee. One of my favorite things is when someone in the lab has like 2-bite brownies, or after lab meeting, if we have leftover donuts, especially in Canada, we have Tim Hortons. Oh, divine. Like cake donuts, like not the spongy donuts, but like the denser, drier donuts. There's ones that are like chocolate cake mix, and they're like glazed, and then they have like coconut all over the outside of them. Anyways, those ones go last, because the first ones that go are like apple fritters and crullers and maple dips and honey dips and all that, right? Anyways, that's fine. That means that the ones that left over are the ones that are already a little bit dense and dry, and then the next day they're even more dry. So then you're like, I'm having my morning coffee and life sucks. Let's make it suck a little less. Let's dip. And then you dip it in your coffee, and it's so good, but you get little crumbs everywhere, and then the bottom of your coffee is kind of weird but kind of tasty. That's good shit. I like that. Look at you with the thank you very much for the little chia. Dee-da-doo. I shall now be detoxing with borax so I can shit myself and poison myself. Yeah, I mean, that's your prerogative. Why don't you eat a Tide Pod while you're at it? Don't do these things, people. I'm going to dunk self in coffee. That would get you fucking tuned. As we've described, you would get transdermal caffeine stimulation there that way. Decaf coffee has like 10% of caffeine. Anyways, is coffee allergy a thing? I don't know. Coffee actually does, adenosine receptors are related to your histamine system in a way, pardon me, that I do not understand. And if I'm being real, from my level of understanding of allergies, having read pretty deep into it for a project a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago in my master's degree, I don't think science really knows what's going on there either. We know that it's histamines, and we know that you need antihistamines to block that, but other than that, we don't know a whole lot. Eyeliner on point. Thank you, 35 going on 65. You're always the one to compliment it. And I thought it looked really nice today, so we had a whole lighting thing at the beginning. We circled back to normal lighting, but yeah. I mean, it's probably a little... It's a little dicier now. Oh, it actually looks pretty good. I think this one looks better. Anyways, cherry flat things were always my favorite there, and apple fritters. What's a cherry flat thing? I don't know what that is. Apple fritters, holy shit. I love apple fritters. Oh my god, they're my favorite. I usually split one with Layla or our friend Lucas. At lab meeting, because I'm like, I can't have a whole one. I can have a whole one. Frequently I will have a whole one, let's be honest, but Jesus Christ, I can't have a whole one like that frequently. I'll feel food guilt, which is a societal thing, but still. I don't even know if they have the cherry things anymore. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, so it sounds like no. Donut rehydrated in coffee sounds bomb. Honestly, the bottom of the coffee with all the coffee, like all the crumbs and bits of coconut from the outside of the donut, so good. Do you look at Kava/use addiction, Kava use or addiction anytime? I've not. It's pretty fringe, I guess. It's kind of like kratom, or like the hallucinogens, the like obscure hallucinogens that all kind of end up acting on the same system anyway, like the DMTs and the ayahuascas and the fucking whatevers. The amount of literature on these things is a lot more, I guess, limited than with the more straightforward ones, and that's kind of for a reason. You don't hear about an ayahuasca epidemic or a kava epidemic. Even with things like bath salts that were like really nasty, they don't tend to lift off because there's a sweet spot between nasty and enjoyable that I think a substance or a behavior kind of has to meet in order to kind of get that niche that it's going to become a sensation. Hmm? Anyways, stick a sticker! Oh, yay. This is what we're here for, the majestic wing. I came back after dinner for the wing. Oh, that's so sweet. You know, frequently I used to wear eyeliner every day, but I'm really trying to refine my makeup use to be less, I guess, because I just want to sleep more in the morning. And I love doing my makeup, like I genuinely do. But also, like, I used to contour and stuff, and like I have a little bit of blush on right now, but like that's just my face. Yeah? It's just my face. And I just, like, you know what, I'm trying to like reconcile myself with the fact that my normal face is okay. These are my normal eyebrows. There's nothing on there. That's just an eyebrow, folks. Anyways, the fact is, I put on the eyeliner for stream. I was not wearing eyeliner today, but I was like, your girl's streaming, she's gonna eyeliner it out. Because otherwise, you know, because I'm paring back the routine, I haven't been doing it as much. And I've been a pretty regular eyeliner user for a while. Anyways, we're gonna do stick a sticker in a second. I just want to get caught up on chat. Been literally here for sticker. Yes, finally got there. Is that how long it takes you to get? You get one every single time. That's wild. They officially called cherry crullers, even though they weren't crullers. They sound so good. I love cherry flavored things. Oh my god, I love cherry. Like Di Saronno or cherries. I have like frozen bags of cherries that I eat almost nightly. Like I fucking love cherries. Rainier cherries? They're bringing back cherry stick donuts in Quebec. I need more information. Where does one procure these delightful cherry sticks? Cherry delights. Hoon is snoring right now. Can you guys hear her? Okay, she stopped. Yeah, because it didn't stay all the last one. It took long this time, but if I stay the whole time and raid out, it happens earlier. Yeah, I think they accumulate channel points differentially based on like little actions. Like the more you chat, I think the more you get. And I think if you stay for raids, you also get more. But don't quote me on that. I know jack shit about the whole fucking thing. What was I looking up? I came on my computer for a second for like a reason. Maybe I was looking at my notes. Who knows? I'm yawning. This is the sign. I haven't even met 3 hours. You guys, last 2 times I've gone for 4 hours and I was so proud of myself. But like, look, I have tired eyes. Do you see this? I look like I'm stoned. I'm not. Cherry sticks in Quebec. I don't like cherries, ironically. They grow here and are a thing here. Oh, BC cherries, girl. Oh, so good, so good. Oh, that's what I was doing. I was going to get the stickers. Jesus Christ. That's who I am. Ugh. Stickers. Sticker bag. This is the only bag you gotta get. When you wake up and you're like, get that bag, or when someone's like, at the end of the night, they're like, you want to grab a bag? This is the only bag you should be grabbing. The bag of stickers. If you know, you know. Okay, I have a couple shortlisted. And you are familiar with the stickers, but for those of you that are new to the game, I have a tattoo that says Stick the Sticker that I got as a best friend tattoo with my best friend, who is a paramedic back in my home province. And oh, sorry, I knocked that off. The motivation, the message behind Stick the Sticker is, very briefly, we've known each other since we were kids. We were in 2nd grade, so of course you get stickers. And when you're, you know, young, or even now, people are like, ooh, I don't want to stick the sticker, because once you stick it, you can't unstick it. So you have to choose. It has to be a special spot. And then you wait and wait and wait. And we found a whole bunch of stickers after not having stuck them, and we were saving them, and then, like, I guess forgot about them for years and years. And we were going through a bunch of old stuff and found a bunch of stickers that were useless because the adhesive had dried on the back. And so those stickers went forever unstuck, which is tragic because it's a fucking sticker, right? We robbed ourselves of that little fucking smidge of joy because we were like, oh, we want to do it in the perfect spot, and gave ourselves stress over the right way to use the tiny. Anyways, the point is, stick the sticker. You know, like, no occasion is more special than whatever you decide is special, right? So that's why I have Stick the Sticker. It's why I have a tattoo that says Stick the Sticker. It's kind of like Carpe Diem Seize the Day-ish, but it's not, because it's more childish and it's more whimsical, I think. So, you know, that's the message. And I would encourage you to stick your own stickers. I don't know where we're going to put it, Shannon. Or, yeah, sorry. I don't know where we're going to put it. I don't know where we're going to put it. I don't know where we're going to put it. Because it's not going to be able to be a reasonable size and go on the laptop, because we put the corgi butt on last time. And we did Strawberry Skull last time too, I think. We did so many stickers last time. I guess we could put it on my makeup mirror, which is like, you know, it's got like flaps. We could put it, yeah, that'd be nice. That would be a little spark of joy in my day. Does it spark joy? Yeah, we can start adorning this. There's tons of real estate there. I don't really have any that are small enough to go on the back of my phone, but maybe. Anyways, okay. No one tells me to stick my own sticker. I mean, live your truth, but I'm just encouraging you to not hold off sticking a sticker because it's not a perfect spot. Because stickers they're kind of a cheap thrill, but they're so meaningful and so fun, and it's just, it's satisfying, it's fun, it's disposable, it's semi-permanent, you know, it's got all the, it's great. Anyways, they were literally called cherry code. Sorry, I already read that. Yeah, because I didn't steal the, no, I read that too. Give me the short list of stickers. It's mostly just so I can stick a sticker every time. You are on a good streak. Okay, so we haven't stuck really a plant-based sticker. I am kind of keen for that. We've stuck a Risto sticker. We haven't stuck a Rat Boy sticker. That could be nice. Okay, I'm gonna give you the short list. Okay. This could fit on my phone, I think. Ooh, maybe not. I'm quite partial to Heart Whale. Of course, Rat Boy, Monstera Leaf, waves, kind of Barbie waves almost. It's very like on theme. I absolutely love it. 80s wiggles and shapes. Shark. Bunny. Smile. Cauldron. Pink. Gimme Space. Cacti. Mermaid Corgi. Fancy Corgi. Oh god. Nasha. Science. We've stuck quite a few science stickers. So while I would be a fan of this because it's small enough that I could probably get it. Just kidding. I was going to say I could probably get it on the laptop, but it won't. Be patient. That's cute. Here we go. Mermaid Corgi. We're going on a Corgi streak. Okay, where's Mermaid Corgi going to go? Okay, I should wipe this off. I'm going to give it a little clean up, a little wipe. Or am I? I don't know. I don't have anything to wipe it with. I think I'm just going to stick it. Ordinarily, you wouldn't want to stick on a surface that hasn't been kind of like wiped off, But because I'm filthy rich in stickers, so sticker rich. Yeah, anyways. Here it is. Ready, Freddy. Can you see it? Oh, oh, the moment shows me this. Ooh, this is a good one. There he is. Corgo. Da baby. Oh, that's so cute. That's gonna give me joy every time I do my makeup, which is every day. That's nice. Oh, my nose is so itchy. Oh. Who's that? Reformed Jinzu. Hey, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Redeemed Hydrate. Love that. Coming in strong. Strong. Follow and a hydrate. It's me. I don't know who that is. Do I know who you are? You're saying it's me, like, are you saying like it's me, like, you know me? Or just like, it's me, like self-announcing? No, you don't. Okay. I love, either way, love it. Welcome. I'm Neuroscience. I'm a neuroscientist. I'm doing my PhD. And I have a master's in undergrad specializing in addiction. We're in the middle of an addiction series. We're wrapping up the caffeine episode right now. Last episode was just kind of stream, fucking whatever. I don't know. It's my own little show. We'll call it an episode. Anyways, this is the hydrate. Oh my god, that tea is so oversteeped. Oh, I didn't like that. Yeah. Welcome, friend. Yeah, so today we're talking about caffeine by popular demand. And we like rats around here. We like Pedro Pascal. All good things. And things get a little bit spicy. I also do a little spicy vulgar science on Wednesdays, which is when we talk about science with my friend Layla. And it says ad breaks in progress, so I'm gonna chill for a little bit. And do I know how to make a poll? Sean told me, but I don't remember. Is it / poll, delete poll, / poll. Open a setup menu to create a poll. Ooh, okay. Where's the setup menu? Where's it going? What happened? Where'd it go? There's no setup menu. It just says / poll. Super interesting for a coffee abuser. I drink 5 cups per day. Well, let's pull up the DSM and do a little screen share, boys and girls, and NBs and whobies and woobies and whatever bees. All people, all genders. Let's do a little bit of a screen share. Will this work? Me? That's horseshit. Oh, that's not what I do it. I call it this. That's not gonna work. Oh, piss. What do I do? Okay, well, you know what? Fuck that. And I'm just gonna let you know that there's no such thing as caffeine use disorder, which is kind of the nomenclature that we use to describe addiction to other substances like cocaine and nicotine and all that kind of stuff. But there is such thing in the Diagnostics and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders for caffeine-related disorders that are in there, which is caffeine intoxication. That's like acute caffeine intoxication, like if you're fucking tweaking on caffeine. It would be the recent consumption of caffeine. That's a diagnostic criteria. So if you're exhibiting these behaviors but you haven't drank caffeine, it certainly wouldn't be this. Restlessness, nervousness, excitement, insomnia, flush face, diuresis, which is renal function. You're putting too much water out, you're peeing lots. Gastrointestinal disturbance, you're shitting your ass off. Muscle twitching, that happens frequently to people's eyes and like scalp muscles and stuff like that, but it can be other places. Rambling flow of thoughts and speech. What's that? Just kidding. I have that without caffeine, which is why you know that it's not caffeine intoxication that's making me like this, because I haven't had any caffeine. Tachycardia or cardiac arrhythmia, those are weird heart palpitations or like racing heart, etc. Periods of inexhaustibility. So this is going to be like you should be tired, but you're peppy. Psychomotor agitation. This is going to be kind of like the stimming stuff that we were describing. That's going to be like stereotyped behaviors. So kind of be like, you know, tweaking. The behaviors that you picture when you're tweaking, you know, when people are like fidgeting with stuff and kind of like at themselves. That's psychomotor agitation. So that's the criterion B, is those things. The signs or symptoms in criterion B cause clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. So if you're at work and you're coffee tweaking and they're like, you need to go home, you're freaking people out, that would be this criterion C. The signs or symptoms are not attributable to another medical condition and are not better explained by another mental disorder, including intoxication with another substance. So all of these things are probably true if you're tweaking on cocaine or amphetamine. So if you're on amphetamine and coffee, if you've had coffee but also like, you know, snorted a whole bunch of rails of cocaine, it's probably the cocaine that's explaining this more than the coffee. Could be a bit of both, but you never know. You never know. There's also caffeine withdrawal, which is going to be usually kind of like the opposite effects. Where are we? As a former caffeine abuse specialist, you could just do 6. Yeah, you're fine with 6. Believe in you. Screen share works. Yeah, I can't hear you. I used to drink more, but the doc said I have to drink less. So yeah. Doctor sounds like a buzzkill. LOL. I see you and you have an echo again. Motherfuck. Ugh. It's the wrong. I had the wrong one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. The Discord link is invalid. Can you send me a new one? Uh-oh. This one is? Oh, I just said an exclamation mark. This one is? Or the one in my thing is? The one in my, what do you call it? This one's leading me to my server. Is it just the one on my page that's expired? Because this one worked for me. Anyways, yeah, that's the Discord. Come join the informed chaos. Come ascend into the sewer. Thank you. I hope to see you there. We drop a lot of pet pics. It's not the most active Discord in the world, mainly because your girl's busy. But yeah, we do pet pics pretty much every day. One of us. Yeah, welcome. Glad to have you here. Okay, so caffeine withdrawal is usually comes after prolonged daily use of caffeine. Abrupt cessation or reduction in caffeine use followed within 24 hours. So within 24 hours, these things need to pop up. 3 or more of these things for you to be in caffeine withdrawal clinically. Headache, marked significant fatigue or drowsiness, dysphoric mood, depressed mood or irritability, difficulty concentrating, and flu-like symptoms like nausea, vomiting, muscle pain, stiffness, etc. And of course, as usual, for something to be a disorder, it needs to cause distress and impair you in some way socially, occupationally, interpersonally, whatever, any sort of functioning. Ezra Pizza, I have to go to bed. Good time zone, friends. I'll post some pics. Looking forward to it. Yeah, we're going to raid out pretty soon. I'm just going to finish. There's like one more caffeine-related disorder. And then, of course, they can't be better explained by something else. And unspecified caffeine-related disorder. And that would just be anything that's kind of not that. That's like a catch-all. That's like, caffeine has something to do with this, and you're not okay, but it's not either of the other things. And of course, they're entertaining adding caffeine use disorder to the DSM, but there's not enough evidence yet. So that's the state of affairs. You guys, let's pick someone to raid out to. And also, before we do that, please stick around for the raid. First of all, we're going to support another science streamer if someone's on. But before we do that, does anybody have a substance that we want to tackle next, or a behavioral disorder that we want to tackle next? Keeping in mind that the more obscure it is, the more I'm going to have to research, and your girl's busy. And the less definitive stuff I'm going to be able to tell you about it. But that also might make for some interesting discussions, right? So if anybody has something that they're like just jonesing to hear about next week, that'll be what I talk about next Friday. And yeah, because that's how we picked caffeine. I wouldn't have started with caffeine. If it were up to me, I would have started with an easier one that required less work for me. But I do plan on doing kind of all of the things eventually, so I don't really have an order planned. Oh my god, so cute. I haven't looked. Yeah, so if anybody has any strong feelings about that, you can say now, or you could drop it in the Discord. And if you drop it in the Discord early enough, then I'll probably do it. But how about alcohol? Yeah, all right. How do people feel about alcohol? I feel good about alcohol. I mean, I feel, yeah, let's check this. Oh, baby. Let's see these pics. Oh, yeah. Oh, husky. What is Pup's name? I'm such a dog person. Oh my god, I love dogs. Oh, baby. Look at the eyes. So sweet. We have a dog around here. She's having a little snoozer, though, so I'm not going to bug her. Let's check and see who's on Twitch. Let's make sure it is there. Look at this. Don't like. Okay, Astro Kanakis on, Muhudals is on. I rated Astro Canuck last Friday, and we rated Mahoodles on Wednesday because it was her partner party. I'm just gonna expand my screen. Let's see. Who these peeps? Who the peeps? Okay. I like it to be people that I know usually, but it doesn't need to be. Yeah. How do you guys feel? What do you think? Elena and Achi and Blue. Get a grip. Bye, and thanks for the stream. Bye. Stick around for the raid if you can. If not, sleep tight. You guys, I don't like to repeat myself too much, but I do love rating Astro Canuck. He's wonderful. He's Canadian. We did just do Mahoodles. She's kind of still doing the partner party thing, so maybe it would be good to support a female scientist, space science. How do you guys feel about that? They're both space. Cool stream. Have a good night. Thank you so much for stopping in, Old Man Felonious. I really appreciated you being here and your contributions, and I'm gonna look for that donut and hopefully see you again, either here or on the Vulgar Science channel for our Wednesday streams. Yeah, space. Okay, so they're both space. Let's do Astro Canuck. There ain't nothing wrong with an you know, consistency. Oh God, look at what I've done here. Why? What happens? How do I move my fucking thing all the time? /raid. Astro Canuck. All right, thank you guys all so much. It was a really fun stream. Loved the chit chat, loved hearing from y'all. We got some good discussion, and I think it's going to be just a really fun series. I'm already having so much fun. I forgot how much I love to, I guess I'm moving that now. Forgot how much I like to talk about this shit. Anyways, I appreciate everybody here so much, and I hope to see you guys at Vulgar Science or see you next Friday, whichever comes first. And yeah, let's raid now, baby. Bye.